I saw Patty say in the chat, she's okay, she's coming. Hello, I'm back. Happy Saturday. I hope you guys are doing well. We are back with Gypsy Rose today. I know I had to reschedule this a few times, but here we are. We're going to get through it. Welcome back. I haven't seen you guys for a day. I've just been busy. I was busy yesterday prepping Kenzie lives and then family stuff after the holidays and just busy. So I was gonna go live yesterday, to be honest. So I apologize for that. But I did want to make sure that I have 2 Kenzie call videos ready to go for tomorrow. So stay tuned with the Kenzie calls. We do have a Kenzie live later. Definitely make sure you turn on your notifications. And hello, welcome in. I am Melly. I am the crazy little Latina girl on here talking about true crime. Thanks for all the support. Like I said, please hit the like button, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. We are going to start part 1 of the Gypsy Rose deep dive. I think I have like 10 parts. So we're going to start part 1. And what we're going to do is, I think everybody knows who Gypsy Rose is. If you don't, I would find that wild because her case is pretty controversial. But nonetheless, Gypsy Rose and her boyfriend at the time, well, okay, so it's a long story. She basically unalived her mom with her boyfriend, Nicholas, at the time. She was in 2015. It was alleged that she suffers, it is alleged that she had abuse by MSP, Munchausen syndrome by proxy. So her mom was basically, she was actually really physically healthy and capable of walking, but she underwent a bunch of surgeries and treatment, and basically her mom created all of these illnesses to gain basically sympathy and attention for Gypsy. So in June of 2015, Gypsy and her boyfriend Nick stabbed Dee Dee to death in her home. And Gypsy had been living under control and abuse, and the killing was part of a planned escape plan from her mother's grip. So Gypsy ends up being incarcerated, and then she's now free, and she's a millionaire making money on social media. And Nicholas Godejohn is still incarcerated. And so there's a lot of backstory here, but with this deep dive, I hope that we can all know all the facts of the case. So tomorrow we will be going over like before the murders, birth, and we'll go through during the murder and then after the murder. So there's a lot of content here. I am using a couple sources. I will link them down in the description. I know one of them is Into the Weeds, and then we're going to be listening to somebody narrating Dee Dee's autopsy. So we're going to start with Dee Dee's autopsy of all the wounds, etc., when she was killed. And then we're going to go through like a chart thing that I found online of all the Gypsy Rose men that she's dated and been with. And then we're going to go into Nicholas Godejohn, and we're going to focus on Nick's past, etc., everything. Because Nick is actually the one who committed this crime with her. And Nick, he's still incarcerated, which I don't know how I feel about that, because Gypsy's out here living her life. And I think Gypsy is a psychopath, and that's just my opinion. I know she went through some stuff, but that's how I feel. So you are welcome to make your own opinion. If you like Gypsy, that's fine. You're still welcome here. But we are going to go through in depth about Nick, and then we're going to watch a few of the videos. I'm going to break them into parts. We're going to watch a few of the videos that she recently came out, like dancing and singing and doing weird shit, role playing, if you may. So the video of the autopsy, someone is narrating it, which is good because I don't have to read it, although I don't mind reading it. But I think it'll be interesting to listen to it in this format. And I saw Patty in here. Hello. I said Gypsy Girl. Gypsy Girl says, when I was younger, my dad would call me a gypsy because I moved around a lot, hence the name Gypsy Girl. And I always thought of my dad. Ever since this chick showed up, and she ruined it for me with her name. Right. Oh yeah, that was me. Hey, Debbie, and hey, Kimmy Freak. Good to see you. Hi, Tracy. And hello, God Servant Forever. Thank you for being here. Tara Anderson says, I can't wait for this one. Melly, I've been looking forward to this. Okay, good. How'd you feel yesterday? I was just really busy. I felt good. I felt good for most of the day. I just had a lot going on with like family, and then my lawyer, if you know about that. We will be live on the second channel. We're moving all the fun stuff to the second channel for sure. So tonight we will be over on the second channel. Make sure you are subscribed. Friday night was a little bit of a wild night, so we can talk about it on the second channel. But let's get started with Gypsy Rose. I saw Elijah. Hi, Elijah. I saw Lupe. Hello, hello. And Debbie and Tanya. Okay, you guys agree. And Tippy. So let me pull up the video of the autopsy and then we'll move on from there. Thank you for being here. Please make sure you hit the like button. Let me pull up the screen. My bad. I had a bunch of other stuff of Gypsy Rose pulled up. Okay. This is the autopsy of Dee Dee.
Examination of the body of Claudine Blanchard. Number 1, investigation to date reports that Ms. Claudine Blanchard was found lying prone in her bed at her residence. Ms. Claudine Blanchard was pronounced dead at the scene at 3:13 p.m. on June 14th, 2015. Number 2, medical history of asthma, gastroesophageal reflux disease, thyroid disease, diabetes, headache, hyperlipidemia, and endometrial cancer. Number 3, surgical history of hernia repair, appendectomy, tonsillectomy, hysterectomy, and cholecystectomy. Number 4, autopsy findings of multiple stab wounds and multiple incised wounds. Number 5, toxicology, non-contributory, opinion. It is my opinion that Claudine Blanchard, a 48-year-old white female, died of injuries of the neck, back, chest, and abdomen due to multiple 17 stab wounds and multiple incised wounds. Her manner of death is ruled a homicide. Signed, Jeff Harkey, MD. Dated September 22nd, 2016. Greene County Medical Examiner's Office. Post-mortem examination of the body of Claudine Blanchard on June 15th, 2015. At the Greene.
Let me know as this is going through, like, what you think about Gypsy. Do you think she should be locked up? Do you think she's a psycho? Do you think she's absolutely normal and just dealt with all this trauma? Like, what is your opinion?
County Medical Examiner's Office in Springfield, Missouri. A post-mortem examination was performed on the body of Claudine Blanchard, an adult female. The autopsy was performed under the authority of Missouri state law. The examination was conducted by medical examiner Jeff Harkey, MD, assisted by Tom Vandenberg of the Medical Examiner's Office, and was begun at 12:50 p.m. History. Prior to her death, Ms. Claudine Blanchard had lived with her daughter in a residence in Springfield, Missouri. After their neighbors reported to the Greene County Sheriff's Office that both women were missing, a search warrant was obtained and deputies entered the Blanchard residence on June 14th, 2015. Ms. Claudine Blanchard was found lying prone in her bed. There were obvious signs of death. No resuscitation efforts were begun.
I know that Nick is still locked up because of this crime, but I just don't understand, like, Gypsy, the way she's acting. I just think Gypsy should still be incarcerated. I don't think she should have been let out.
Claudine Blanchard was pronounced dead at the scene at 3:13 p.m. on June 14th, 2015. The Greene County Medical Examiner's death investigator was called to the scene and reported that Claudine had incised wounds of the neck and multiple stab wounds of the back and torso. Medical records dated June 2nd, 2015, indicated that the descendant had a past medical history of asthma, gastroesophageal reflux disease, thyroid disease, diabetes, headache, hyperlipidemia, and endometrial cancer. She had a surgical history of hernia repair, appendectomy, tonsillectomy, hysterectomy, and cholecystectomy. Her prescription medications were not listed in the medical record. It was reported that medications at the scene were collected by the Greene County Sheriff's Office. General observations. The body was received in a body bag that was secured with a tamper-evident seal and that was marked with the descendant's identifying information. A medical examiner's identification tag was on the left ankle. The body was that of a well-developed, obese white female whose appearance was consistent with the given age of 48 years. The body measured 5 feet 2 inches in length and weighed 255 pounds. The body was received clothed in a white nightshirt with a floral floral print. There were multiple cuts in the upper back of the nightshirt, and these defects corresponded to the positions of stab wounds on the back of the descendant's body. The upper front of the nightshirt was bloody, as was all of the back of the nightshirt. There was a religious pendant on a string necklace that was about the neck. Cuts in the necklace corresponded to cuts on the back of the descendant's neck. Paper evidence bags were in place over the hands. Prior to the further examination of the body, the fingernails were clipped and collected. Oral swabs, vaginal swabs, and rectal swabs were collected. Combed pubic hair and pulled pubic hair was collected, and pulled head hair was collected. The clothing, as well as all of the items of trace evidence, were taken into evidence by the Greene County Sheriff's Police. Evidence of medical resuscitation intervention, none. Evidence.
I agree with this. I think she's a victim, but I also think she is a schmurder. I think everything she went through made her go crazy. I really started not liking her when I found out that Nick's mom took her own life after this. Yeah, it's really sad.
Of injury. 1. There were
We'll cover that as we get into the Nick part 2 and 3.
17 stab wounds. For purposes of description, the stab wounds are numbered from 1 through 17. The numbering is arbitrary and is not intended to indicate the order in which the wounds were received. Upper and middle back 13 stab wounds. Number 1, behind the top of the left shoulder. Oriented longitudinally, 1 inch
1 through 17 stab wounds. 17.
on the skin surface. Center of the wound is 8.5.
That's overkill. Absolutely.
Half inches below the top of the head, and 4 5/8 inches to the left of the posterior midline of the body. Sharp upper end and sharp lower end. Wound direction is back to front. Wound track is 3 1/8 inches deep, passed through skin, fat, and muscle. Ends on the posterior surface of a left upper rib. Number 2, center of the upper back.
And you guys have to think our skin is one of the organs, and that's a lot to stab through and cut through. Also, when people dismember people, I don't understand. I think it's demonic.
Oriented somewhat transversely 5/8 inch on the skin surface. Center of the wound is 11/4 inches below the top of the head and 5/8 inches to the left of the posterior midline of the body. Sharp left superolateral end and sharp inferomedial end. Wound direction is back to front. Wound track is 1.5 inches deep, passes through skin, fat, and muscle. Number 3, left side of the upper back. Oriented obliquely 1 3/4 inch on the skin surface. Center of the wound is 11.5 inches below the top of the head and 4 3/4 inches to the left of the posterior midline of the body. Sharp left superolateral end and sharp inferomedial end. Wound direction is back to front, left to right, and downward. Wound track is 5 inches deep through skin, fat, and muscle of the chest wall to where it penetrates into the left chest through the muscles of the third left intercostal space, perforates the upper edge of the lower lobe of the left lung. At the oblique fissure, then perforates the inferior portion of the upper lobe of the left lung. Perforates the posterior wall of the pericardial sac, perforates the posterior wall of the left atrium of the heart next to the mitral valve. Number 4, center of the upper back. Oriented somewhat longitudinally, 7/8 inch on the skin surface. Center of the wound is 11.5 inches below the top of the head and 5/8 inches to the right of the posterior midline of the body. Blunt upper end and sharp lower end. Wound direction is back to front. Wound track is 1 1/4 inches deep, passes through skin, fat, and muscle. Number 5, center of the upper back. Oriented obliquely 1 inch on the skin surface. Center of the wound is 13 inches below the top of the head and 3/4 inches to the right of the posterior midline of the body. Sharp left superomedial end and blunt inferolateral end. Wound direction is back to front, slightly left to right and downward. Wound track is 2 3/4 inches deep as it passes through skin, fat, and muscle of the chest wall. Enters into the
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Dee Dee was asleep as this was happening, right? I have seen the crime scene photos. Yeah, we're going to go through some photos today. I don't know if they are the crime scene ones, but I have a folder of photos we're going to go through after we go through this. She was a victim when she was young, and I believe her mom taught her how to operate, and Gypsy learned it back and it backfired on Dee Dee. Nothing to be rude, but you can tell she was something medically wrong with her, and doctors never found it. In 2011, almost all her medical stopped after that. Yeah, we will go through a lot of that history on part 2 tomorrow.
Right pleural cavity through the muscles of the right fifth intercostal space next to the spine, from where the wound track continues for another 3 inches. Perforates the lower lobe of the right lung. Wound is 5/8 inch in length on the posterior surface and 1/4 inch in length on the anterior surface. Then perforates the right side of the diaphragm and penetrates into the posterior portion of the right lobe of the liver. Number 6, center of the upper back, oriented somewhat longitudinally, 1/5/8 inch on the skin surface. Center of the wound is 13¼ inches below the top of the head and 1¾ inches to the right of the posterior midline of the body. Sharp left superomedial end and blunt inferolateral end. Wound direction is back to front and downward. Wound track is 2½ inches deep as it passes through skin, fat, and muscle of the chest wall. Enters into the right pleural cavity through the muscles of the right 6th intercostal space next to the spine, from where the wound track continues for another 1½ inches as it penetrates into the posterior surface of the lower lobe of the right lung. Number 7, center of the middle back, has 2
Holy
components
shit.
making it somewhat L-shaped. Longitudinal portion is 3/4 inch on the skin surface,
A bloodbath.
and transverse portion is 1/2 inch on the skin surface. Center of the wound is 16¼ inches below the top of the head and 2/5/8 inches to the right of the posterior midline of the body. Sharp at both ends. Wound direction is back to front. Wound track is 1¾ inches deep as it passes through skin, fat, and muscle of the chest wall. Enters into the right pleural cavity through the muscles of the right 9th intercostal space next to the spine, from where the wound track continues for another 1/8 inch as it penetrates into the posterior surface of the lower lobe of the right lung. Number 8, right side of the upper back, oriented longitudinally, 1¾ inch on the skin surface. Center of the wound is 9½ inches below the top of the head and 3½ inches to the right of the posterior midline of the body. Sharp upper end and blunt lower end. Wound direction is back to front, right to left, and downward. Wound track is 4½ inches deep, passes through skin, fat, and muscle. Number 9, right side of the upper back, oriented obliquely, 1/1/8 inch on the skin surface. Center of the wound is 11¼ inches below the top of the head and 3½ inches to the right of the posterior midline of the body. Sharp left superomedial end and sharp inferolateral end. Wound direction is back to front and slightly left to right. Wound track is 4½ inches deep, passes through skin, fat, and muscle. Number 10, right side of the upper back, oriented obliquely, one.
I mean, do you all agree that, like, she is just as responsible as Nick? Like, she might have not committed some of the crime, but she thought of it and helped perpetuate it.
1/4 inch on the skin surface. Center of the wound is 10�3/8 inches below the top of the head and 4�5/8 inches to the right of the posterior midline of the body. Sharp left superomedial end and sharp inferolateral end. Wound direction is back to front, left to right, and downward. Wound track is 5½ inches deep, passes through skin, fat, and muscle. Number 11, right side of the upper back, oriented obliquely, 1/1/8 inch on the skin surface. Center of the wound is 9½ inches below the top of the head and 5½ inches to the right of the posterior midline of the body. Sharp left superomedial end and sharp inferolateral end. Wound direction is back to front, right to left, and downward. Wound track is 3 inches deep, passes through skin, fat, and muscle. Number 12, right side of the middle back, oriented obliquely, 1 inch on the skin surface. Center of the wound is 15�5/8 inches below the top of the head and 6/4 inches to the right of the posterior midline of the body. Sharp left superomedial end and sharp inferolateral end. Wound direction is back to front. Wound track.
This overkill is wild. Reese says she's even more responsible than Nick. She planned, plotted, and gathered everything, including me, Patsy. And how she's responsible. She sought him out and used his disability against him. I agree with this. That's why I said it earlier. Like, I don't think she should be free. Why could she be free and not Nick? Because Nick stabbed her 17 times. To me, it's just as bad. I think I agree with Reese. She's even more responsible. This is very brutal.
Is at least 7 inches deep, perforate the skin, fat, and muscle of the body wall, penetrates into the right chest cavity, penetrates 1/4 inch into the posterior surface of the lower lobe of the right lung. Number 13, far right side of the upper back, superior to the right axilla, oriented longitudinally 3/4 inch on the skin surface. Center of the wound is 9 inches below the top of the head and 9 3/4 inches to.
And let's not forget, I think he was autistic. I don't think it was schizophrenia, just autism, right? And I think Gypsy took advantage of him completely. What was wrong with the doctors to allow this to happen? Nick wouldn't have done this, and she would have not asked. I highly doubt any other person would just come over to murder Dee Dee. I agree.
The right of the posterior midline of the body, sharp upper end and sharp lower end. Wound direction is back to front and slightly right to left. Wound track is 4 1/4 inches deep, passing through skin, fat, and muscle. Right chest, 2 stab wounds. Number 14, right axillary line, oriented nearly transversely, 1/4 inch on the skin surface. Center of the wound is 17 inches below the top of the head and 9 inches to the right of the posterior midline of the body. Sharp posterior end and sharp anterior end. Wound direction is right to left. Wound track is 4 1/4 inches deep as it passed through skin, fat, and muscle of the body wall. The wound track then continued another 3 inches as it passed through the lower recess of the right pleural cavity, then perforates the base of the lower lobe of the right lung, then perforates through the lateral edge of the diaphragm, and then penetrates into the right lobe of the liver. Number 15, right supraclavicular area, oriented obliquely 1/2 inch on the skin surface. Center of the wound is 8 1/4 inches below the top of the head and 2 1/2 inches to the right of the anterior midline of the body. Sharp left superolateral end and sharp inferomedial end.
A part of me, in my opinion, only thinks she stood there and watched it all happen and maybe even possibly enjoyed it.
Direction is downward. Wound track is 1 1/2 inches deep, passing through skin, fat, and muscle.
Imagine the rage Gypsy felt after everything her mother put her through. Michelle says, yes, Gypsy was involved, and I believe Gypsy came out of that bathroom and went into her mom's room and stood in front of her mom. If Dee Dee did say, don't hurt me, she was saying it to Gypsy. Yeah, I think Gypsy saw it all go down.
Muscle. In association with the 6 stab wounds that penetrated into the chest, wounds 3, 5, 6, 7, 12, and 14. There were 200.
Gypsy could have stopped him at any time. Exactly. Hey, Lakeside, good to see you.
50 milliliters of blood and clots in the right chest cavity. There were 500 milliliters of blood and clots in the left chest cavity. And there were 100 milliliters of blood and clots in the pericardial cavity, in association with the 2 stab wounds that continued through the diaphragm and into the liver, wounds 5 and 14. There was a trace amount of blood about the liver in the peritoneal cavity. Neck, 2 stab wounds. Number 16, back of the neck at the base of the skull, oriented transversely, 3/8 inch on the skin surface. Center of the wound is 6 inches below the top of the head and 3/4 inch to the right of the posterior midline of the body. Sharp left medial end and sharp lateral end. Wound direction is back to front. Wound track is 2 inches deep, passes through skin, fat, and muscle. Number 17, right side of the back of the neck at the base of the skull, oriented transversely, 1 1/2 inch on the skin surface. Center of the wound is 6 inches below the top of the head and 2 3/4 inches to the right of the posterior midline of the body. Sharp left medial end and sharp lateral end. Wound direction is downward. Wound track is 3/4 inches deep, passes through.
With a lot of the videos that have recently come out, I have a whole different opinion of this case. The way they behaved afterwards speaks volumes, and maybe it's in the best interest for all of us that Gypsy be locked up. I think I know this is kind of like a stretch. I fear of the child in her custody because I'm just like, you never know if those mental health issues, I mean, you don't really get cured from mental health issues. Like, I hate to say that, but you can take medicine and you can do things to make it better. But where's all that rage right now as Gypsy's out living her life, making money? Like, where is that? Yeah, this is a different channel reading for us. There were 2 blades used on Dee Dee and never found the second blade to match. Who provided those weapons? Oh, Gypsy. Gypsy Rose is a manipulator. I learned that whatever comes out of Gypsy's mouth is likely the opposite. Yeah, where's all that rage? Where's all her issues? They just went away when she was let out. I truly don't believe that.
Skin, fat, and muscle. 2, there were multiple incised wounds on the neck, and there was 1 incised wound on the left hand. A, transversely across the back of the neck at 7 inches below the top of the head. The wound is 7 1/8 inch length and penetrates up to 3 inches into the soft tissues of the neck to end in the space between the spinous processes of cervical vertebrae 6 and 7. B, transversely on the left side of the back of the neck at 6 inches below the top of the head. The wound is 3/4 inch in length.
And I don't know who this person is reading it. So, you know, I'm just listening to the autopsy.
Superficial, a scratch. C, obliquely on the right side of the neck, inferior to the lower jaw. On the skin surface, the wound is 4 1/4 inches. The center of the wound is 6 1/2 inches below the top of the head and is 4 1/2 inches to the right of the posterior midline of the neck. The anterior end of the wound is forked, indicating that the 4 1/4 inch.
And we can all agree that mental health in the facilities, jail, prisons, isn't the best.
Wound had been produced.
So how was she mentally rehabilitated?
By at least 2 cutting motions. The wounds penetrate 3/4 inches into the soft tissues of the neck to end on the right side of the cervical spine. D, transversely on the right side of the neck. There are multiple long parallel superficial cuts. The center of the cluster of cuts is 7 3/4 inches.
And I try to be fair and like think like, okay, she was raging, you know, after what your mother had done. Like, what if your mother had done that to you, right? I always try to put myself in that position, but still, I don't think she should be left out of jail, prison.
Below the top of the head and is 4 3/4 inches to the right of the posterior midline of the neck. E, on the left hand, there is a superficial cut, 3/8 inch in length. The cut is on the radial side of the dorsal aspect of the 4th digit. External examination. The body was cool and is in an early state of decomposition characterized by the passing of rigor mortis, drying of the fingertips, darkening of the skin of the face, and skin slippage on the face and upper.
The body was cool and in an early state of decomposition, characterized by the passing of rigor mortis, drying of the fingertips, darkening of the skin of the face, skin slippage on the face and upper chest. That is brutal.
Chest. Fixed lividity was present anteriorly. The scalp hair was light brown and was short. The earlobes were cosmetically pierced. There were bloody fluids on the face.
I feel like we're watching a scary movie.
Nose and in the mouth. The ears and nose were otherwise unremarkable. The eyes had wide sclerae and injected conjunctivae. Cloudy corneas obscured the irides. The neck was obese and had no discernible masses. The thorax was symmetrical. There was a post-mortem puncture wound in the right upper quadrant of the abdomen. There was a cholecystectomy scar 6 inches in length along the right lower costal margin. There was a transverse 5-inch scar across the lower abdomen. The abdomen was obese. The external genitalia were those of a normal adult female. There was a tattoo on the left side of the back. There were were tattoos on the lateral sides of the lower part of the legs. There was a 6.5-inch longitudinal scar on the back of the lower part of the left leg. The extremities and back had no significant deformities or other abnormalities. There was nail polish on the fingernails and on the toenails. Internal examination. The autopsy was performed utilizing a Y-shaped thoraco-abdominal incision and a posterior coronal scalp incision. All of the viscera were cool, except for the apparently remote surgical absence of the appendix, gallbladder, uterus, ovaries, and fallopian tubes. All the viscera were in their normal anatomical positions, except for the above previously described injuries. The internal systems were as follows. Head.
This is very brutal. Let me see. I want to go back and make sure I'm not missing. I feel for her childhood, but not as much as an adult, says Tosh. Thank you for clarifying that, Melly. Yeah, I don't support this person. I mean, I support it in the sense of I'm playing their video, but I have nothing to do with anything of it, and I don't know them, never played them before, so we're just listening. What exactly is the trauma Gypsy went through, says Michelle. Every procedure and surgery was necessary. Gypsy knew about the con of being in the wheelchair when being outside, and she walked inside the house. Michelle says, and why not say to the doctor, hey, look, I can walk. There's plenty she could have done instead of killing her mom. Exactly. I totally felt sorry for Gypsy in the beginning, but after diving deeper, I really changed my mind. Gypsy was over 21 years old when this happened and very sexual. She knew right from wrong. Absolutely agree with that. As a child, you're a product of your own environment, and as an adult, you're a product of the choices you make. That's a very great statement, Tosh. Thank you. Yes, but there are some people who are born with chemical imbalances and or personality disorder indicators, and sometimes there isn't a single thing that can be done by even the best parents. This is also absolutely true. It is the truth. People are born with chemical imbalances. Let's continue.
No abnormality.
After this, we're going to go through the crime scene photos.
Was noted in the reflected scalp, calvarium dura, meninges, or the base of the skull. There were no epidural, subdural, or subarachnoid hemorrhages. The 1,275-gram brain was symmetrical and had no cortical lesions. There was no uncal grooving or cerebellar tonsillar herniation. The cerebral vascular system was unremarkable. Serial transverse sections of the cerebral hemispheres, brainstem and cerebellum, were symmetrical and revealed no pre-existing lesions. Neck. There were no other hemorrhages or other abnormalities of the cervical vertebral column or of the soft tissues of the neck, larynx, or trachea. The laryngeal cartilages and the hyoid bone were intact. Cardiovascular system. The 405-gram heart was enlarged. The normal heart weight for a 5'2" adult female ranges from 161 grams to 382 grams with an average weight of 248 grams. The heart had an otherwise unremarkable epicardial surface with a moderate amount of epicardial fat. The coronary arteries had no evidence of atherosclerotic disease. No thrombi were present in the coronary arteries. The left ventricular posterior wall thickness was 1.3 centimeters. The interventricular septal thickness was 1.3 centimeters. The right ventricular wall thickness was 0.3 centimeters. The cardiac valves were unremarkable and had the following circumferences: tricuspid 14.0 centimeters, pulmonary 7.2 centimeters, mitral 9.5 centimeters, aortic 6.1 centimeters. The four heart chambers were unremarkable. The foramen ovale was closed. There were no ventricular septal defects. There were no mural thrombi within the heart chambers. There were no abnormalities of the papillary muscles or chordae tendineae. The myocardium was dark red, brown, and was without evidence of scarring. There were no thrombi within the pulmonary artery. The lining of the aorta had no evidence of atherosclerosis. The major arteries and great veins had normal distributions. Respiratory.
I agree. Kimmy Freak, you said people normally move and get up while being stabbed. So are we sure that Gypsy and Nick didn't both hold her down? That's what I kind of meant when I said I think she was in the room watching and somewhat enjoying it.
System. The larynx and trachea were unremarkable. The right and left lungs weighed 235 grams and 185 grams, respectively, and were partially collapsed due to the hemothoraces. The lung parenchyma had mild anthracosis and was nearly bloodless. The pulmonary arteries, bronchi, and their major branches were unremarkable. There were no distal pulmonary emboli. There are no cystic lesions, nodules, or distinct consolidations. The hepatobiliary system, the 2,345-gram liver, was excessively firm due to hepatic fibrosis and also had a parenchyma that was yellow.
Yeah, Dee Dee, you weren't doing too good health-wise.
Tan and greasy from fatty change. The gallbladder was surgically absent. The remainder of the biliary tract was unremarkable. Hemolymphatics. The 175-gram spleen had smooth capsular surfaces. The dark purple splenic pulp was soft and oozing and obscured the usual follicular and trabecular markings. There was no significant lymphadenopathy. The rib bone marrow was red with an unremarkable trabecular.
You know what, Reese Crows, you make a good point. The Turpin children had horrible lives. Did any of those kids, and there was a dozen of them, right, killed their mother like this? Nope. Good point. I'm going to fast forward through some of this.
And left kidneys weighed 120 grams and 125 grams, respectively. Each kidney had smooth cortical surfaces, had a pale parenchyma due to blood loss, and had otherwise normal corticomedullary regions and papillae. There were no changes in the calyceal systems, pelvis, ureters, or bladder. The uterus, fallopian tubes, and ovaries were surgically absent. Musculoskeletal system. Except for the above-noted injuries, all the muscles and axial skeleton were free of any significant abnormalities. Toxicological analysis. Samples of vitreous fluid, pericardial cavity blood, and liver were submitted to the St. Louis University Forensic Toxicology Laboratory for toxicological screens and analysis. Toxicological screening of the blood was negative for drugs of abuse. No alcohols were detected in the blood. Summary of autopsy findings. 1. Adult female in an early state of decomposition. 2. Multiple 17 stab wounds of the back, chest, and neck. 6 wounds penetrate into the chest cavities. 1. Injuries of the upper and lower lobes of the left lung. 2. Injuries of the upper and lower lobes of the right lung. 3. Perforating injury of the posterior wall of the left atrium of the heart. 4. Hemopericardium, bilateral hemothoraces. 5. 2F, the wounds pass through the right pleural cavity and penetrate the liver. B. 2 stab wounds of the back of the neck at the base of the skull. C. Visceral pallor due to blood loss. 3. Multiple incised wounds of the neck. A. Deep wounds. 1. Transversely across the back of the neck. A. 7 1/8 inch in length on the skin surface. B. Penetrates up to 3 inches to end at the spine. 2. Obliquely on the right side of the neck, inferior to the lower jaw. A. 4/4 inches in length on the skin surface. B. Was produced by at least 2 cutting motions. C. Penetration of 3/4 inches to end at the spine. B. Multiple parallel superficial wounds right side of the neck. 4. 1 incised wound on the back of the 4th digit of the left hand. 5. Obesity, 255 pounds on a 5'2" frame. 6. Apparently remote surgical absence of the appendix, gallbladder, uterus, ovaries, and fallopian tubes. 7. Enlarged heart, 405 grams. 8. Steatohepatitis and hepatic fibrosis. 9. Toxicology blood screen equals negative for alcohols and drugs of abuse. Concluding opinion. It is my opinion that Claudine Blanchard, a 48-year-old white female, died of injuries of the neck, back, chest, and abdomen due to multiple 17 stab wounds and multiple incised wounds. Signed, Jeff Harkey, MD, medical examiner. Date submitted September 22nd, 2016. And here are some of the stab wounds using these 2 images. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 15. And here's stab wound numbered 14. At the top left, labeled incised wound A. Moving down, we have stab wound numbered 17. And here's incised wound A. Over to incised wound C, and some multiple superficial incised wounds, labeled D. Now moving over to the right, incised wound labeled B. Over to stab wound 16, down to incised wound A, and down below we got the multiple superficial incised wounds labeled D. On the right dorsal, we have no injuries. On the left dorsal, we have a superficial cut 3/8 inches labeled E. On the right palmar, we have no injuries. And on the left palmar, we have no injuries. And here's the St. Louis University Toxicology Laboratory report for Claudina A. Blanchard, 48 years of age, female. Greene County Medical Examiner being the requesting agency. Blood alcohol, negative for all the following: ethanol, acetone, isopropanol, and methanol. Blood.
So basically everything here was negative. Barbiturates, cannabinoids, which is weed, opiates, lidocaine, methadone.
Directory Christopher Long, PhD. The client being
Found down at home, multiple stab
Greene
wounds.
County Medical Examiner, Dr. Jeff Harkey, MD. Case name goes by Blanchard Claudina A., 48 years of age, female. History: found down at home, multiple stab wounds. Medications available, none. Date and time specimens collected was June 15th, 2015 at 14:30 hours. Specimens submitted: blood, liver, vitreous. Tests requested. Alcohol, general unknown. Notes, comments, case number GC-15-107. Received in lab by BD on 6/17/15 at 9:30. SNU to temporary refrigerated storage. Greene County Medical Examiner's Office. Report of death scene investigation. The descendant, Blanchard Claudina A., age 48, sex female. Race C, Caucasian. Date of birth 5/31/19.
This is basically just saying basically the crime, the day of the crime and all that. We're going to skip through it. Wow, so Dee Dee wasn't on any medications, or at least that were in her blood. I find that interesting considering she was obese, like high blood pressure or something. I don't know. Let's go to the narrative.
Shirt. Valuables.
Wait, let me go back.
0.50 Fahrenheit. Microenvironment 71.40 Fahrenheit. Height 64 inches. Estimate weight 200 pounds. Estimate hair color brown. Eyes color hazel. Pupils 3/3. Teeth natural, if natural condition.
If I'm not mistaken, this happened on June 14th, 2015, and I think the police did a welfare check on June 16th. So she had been dead for about, I think, 2 days before police found her.
Poor. Injuries noted: multiple stab and incised wounds to upper back, neck, and right side of torso. Clothing: nightshirt. Valuables: religious medallion on cord. Disposition: left in place. Narrative of circumstances surrounding death. Descendant's neighbors called Greene County Sheriff's Office to report that descendant and her daughter were missing. Neighbors had seen no activity and had not been able to contact descendant since Wednesday night. A neighbor is reported to have entered the residence through an unlocked window, but did not see anyone in the residence. Deputies saw a post on descendant's Facebook stating that the bitch is dead. A search warrant was obtained and deputies entered the residence to
So did Gypsy post that? The quote, "that bitch is dead"?
find descendant in bed. Descendant is prone in her bed with covers pulled up to her mid-back. Dried blood is noted over descendant's back and on the bedding. Several defects can be seen in descendant's nightshirt and in the sheet over her back. Descendant's arms are bent under her head in a typical sleeping position. There is a small area of blood beneath descendant's head and shoulders on the bed. Multiple stab wounds are noted noted to descendants' upper back and right side of her torso when her nightshirt is lifted. An incised wound is noted to the back and right side of the neck that is several inches in length. Bags are placed over descendants' hands. When covers are pulled down, there are apparent blood smears on descendants' right lower back and flank. Body is secured in a body bag for transport to GCMEO for autopsy. Deputies advise that there are an additional Facebook posts that indicate that descendant's daughter was also killed, but she has not been located. Attach additional pages as necessary. Signed by.
That is absolutely insane. Let me read some of the comments before we move on to the crime scene photos. Michelle says it has to be a third person there because who filmed Gypsy and Nick on their knees cleaning? Reese says 0 drugs in system, but gosh, claims Dee Dee was an addict to pain meds and took Ambien every night. That's why I found that interesting when they said everything was negative. Brutal. He did not say exactly which wound actually unalived her. They didn't, but it was like blood loss, right? No defensive wounds. Interesting that how her hands were still placed too. Like how she was sleeping. There is a film of them two cleaning. I thought that's what I had heard too, but I don't know. That could be alleged. I think she did more to her mom after she was done. Just gives me that vibe. ATS says, sounds very personal, like from someone who knew her closely. Wink, wink. Yeah, I know. Yeah, she was there for 2 days. Her heart was good. Because Gypsy kept stealing her mom's meds. With the stuff coming out about offering her child to Nick, she should not have custody of that child. Dee Dee was a con, but she did everything she could for Gypsy. The defensive wound was on the finger, right? In Gypsy's interrogation, she never said her mother medically abused her. We're going to review that as well. Yes, Gypsy admitted she wrote that phrase. And we're going to go through those as well. Okay, let's move on to the crime scene photos. So I guess trigger warning. Let's look at the wounds on Nick and Gypsy first, and then we'll go into the crime scene photos. So like I said, trigger warning. I haven't not gone, there's a lot of these, so we're just going to push the little arrow. View as your own discretion if you can handle blood and whatnot. Just heads up. Let's see. These are just, I think, pictures of the interrogation and the wounds on Nick and Gypsy. Yes, on her hand. I've never seen or heard a video of them cleaning. I'm not sure if that was true, but I had heard about it. I know there's a lot of talk on theories and whatnot. So let me zoom in. Wow. To see these, like, it's been a minute for me, and to see these and then see her like online making little TikToks and whatnot. Are these hickeys? Is that what that is? Okay. There's the blood spatter, I think one of you mentioned. Bruises. Huh. Some people pick sides on who should be in jail. I think both should be locked up. Gypsy got out way too soon and a risk to public safety. Yeah, I completely agree. Her hands. Gypsy absolutely helped, in my opinion, and that is my opinion only. I think, yeah, I can't get past that she didn't help. She didn't participate. Here's Nick. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything nice to say. What the? That's like from the knife. Hmm. What are all of these marks on his back? A cut? A cut. Thank you. The back of her hands were swollen and bruised. Definitely BDSM bruises. Yeah, I think that's what I saw too in furry play. Okay, what the hell? Is that like from a knife? What the? Investigative report. Okay, okay. Oh, this was incident found property, possible mail theft. I don't know why this was included in here, but let's see if it. So it's like a police report. I guess let's read it. What this is from, what's the date? Am I blind? Apparently. 4/6/2012. Time occurred 4/6 in the morning. Okay, it says on 4/6/2012 at approximately 16:14 hours, I was dispatched to 2501 West Norton in reference to found property. When I arrived on the scene, I made contact with Elizabeth, who said her husband was mowing their front yard earlier this afternoon around 11:30, and he observed several pieces of mail on their ground in their ditch. Tin Lim handed me 33 pieces of mail with one photograph, which were all found in her front yard. Some of the pieces of the mail had been opened. Tin Lim said she did not notice the mail in her front yard last night on April 5th, 2012. The sender on all pieces of the mail is Dee Dee Blanchard. I attempted to contact Blanchard several times via telephone, but did not get an answer. I attempted to make contact with Blanchard at her residence, but no one was home. I logged the mail in as found property in the Greene County property room. I then returned to service. So that must have been when they noticed she was like missing or not responsive. Let me go back to the pictures. Or was that like a totally different incident? I'm wondering why that was included in here. Oh, that was it. Okay. Let's go to the crime scene photos. Okay, here we go. I don't know how brutal these are. She lied about her age, about not needing the wheelchair. Who left all the cigarette butts at the crime scene? Did Nick smoke or Gypsy? That I do not know. Tampering with mail too. Gosh, Gypsy, a real life criminal mind. Dee Dee was doing a ton of fraud. Gypsy Rose Blanchard is evil. Yeah. Okay. Dang it. Let me pull up the pictures. Okay. Let's see. So this is the house. Okay. I'm like in fear. Okay, in the mailboxes. The cars. The house. Hmm. I guess no one heard any screaming. I'm just looking at how close the houses are. Dee Dee didn't scream. I'm wondering, was her face suffocated by Gypsy as she was being stabbed? Or was there screaming? We haven't got to the police reports. I think that's on part 3. One thing I know for certain about Gypsy, she's never the guilty part and almost always has someone else do her dirty work for her, even now. House being pink makes it creepier for some reason. I know. Why is that Lakeside? I'm curious. Okay. Oh, are those the cigarette butts I think Alicia mentioned? It's their Barbie house. Yeah, who was smoking? Interesting. Nick? Nick, was he a smoker? Dee Dee had been crushed out, but I also wonder if Gypsy laid back in bed to cuddle, and that's why she didn't move to struggle. Did Dee Dee? I don't know. You would think they would mention that in the autopsy, right? Like lungs, from like smoking damage or some shit. I don't know. Hmm. Okay, let me see. I thought there was crime scene photos. Oh yeah. Hold on, let me pull them up. I saw some in here of like the bedroom. It's the way they're in this file. Okay, hold on. Interesting. Okay, here's the cigarette. Let me go back to where we left off on the cigarette. Nick said he didn't. Hmm. Okay, the yard. I guess those are where there's like blood. What is that? Yeah, blood and like fluid. Yucky. Yucky. Hey, Poppin, and hey, Q. Good to see you. Hope everyone had a good holiday. Does a cigarette have lipstick? No, I didn't see any on there. Hey, beautifully. I can't exactly see what the hell that is. What is that? What is that? I can't tell. Is that money? Oh, no, it's like is that like a light? Sorry, guys, I don't know what that is. Jeez, there's like evidence everywhere. Oh, what is that? Is that a headband or a sock? I'm like, you're fine. Nick probably was overstimulated, so he couldn't perform. Gypsy's a straight weirdo. Very sloppy criminals. Another cigarette butt? What's this black thing? I don't think that's underwear. Oh, what the? Is that gum? What is that? Yuck. Okay. A red cap to something? But she wasn't found for 2 days too, so, like, what did these monsters do in the house too, like, it might be part of the weapon. Okay, here we go, we're starting to get into the house now. Okay, we see her little God Bless America sign, very patriotic, Dee Dee. Here's the house. Messy, cluttered, okay. Oh, wow. Was the front door open? Yeah, it looked like it was slightly open. Shall we go back and see? We can, we just went by right here. It looks slightly open, right? Yeah. Like it wasn't maybe closed all the way. Okay, let's get back to the house. Very cluttered, very messy. Pink on the inside, pink on the outside. Gypsy has a chromosomal disorder which causes her not to be able to absorb the nutrients needed for her bones and teeth. She also had chronic vomiting as a kid, yeah. Um, well, looks like Dee Dee didn't have time to clean up. Hmm. The house creeps me out. I know, I'm getting very creepy vibes for sure. Let me take a drink of my water. The blue door in the pink house. What's up with all the trash bags and stuff in there? The wheelchair. Here's some cleaning liquid. The closet. Dang. Dang. This blows my mind too. I'm so baffled the doctors missed all the signs, and also, like somebody said mentioned earlier, Gypsy had the opportunity to tell doctors what was going on, right? Like, it wasn't like she was nonverbal, right? What the heck? I wonder if this is how messy they were, or if Gypsy did this. I don't think so, because there seems to be a mess like everywhere in the house. Okay. Hmm. Bathroom. I'm assuming this is Gypsy's room. Oh, that little religious sign right here. Too bad you're the bad thing, Gypsy. It says four corners on my bed, angels around my head. Two to pray, one to scare the bad things away. Unfortunately, not you, Gypsy. Didn't keep the bad things away. Dark humor. Um, okay. Hand sanitizer. They have a whole ass hand sanitizer 'cause she was sick, quote unquote. Her clothes. Her dresses. They're like little kid dresses. Okay, so that's, I believe, Dee Dee's bedroom, because there's blood, right? Or those flowers? Oh, yeah, that's blood. What? Hmm. Wow. I guess the parts with a lot of blood or probably skin is redacted. All of the medicines, and they must have all been gypsies. Wait, so there was like was this at the little shed? Or is this a different room in the house? Because if this was out in the shed, like, I'm wondering what the hell was going on. Like, would Gypsy be locked up in there or what? The hat, okay. Oh, they absolutely redacted that one. I kinda wanted to see them. I kinda wanted to see all of it, but I know it's pretty brutal. Hmm. Was she alone with doctors, or was her mom always in there? Because that could make it difficult to say anything. That's actually very true. I remember it being said mother was a hoarder and they got lots of donations all the time. Yeah, I guess if you guys have them unredacted, we could maybe look at them. It's not how it works. Gypsy took it 5,000. I have family who worked in the medical field most of my life, so I know she lied about Dee Dee doing everything medical. Yeah, there was a lot of blood then. The laptop. I bet there was like skin or blood or something, right? Gypsy. That says Gyp something. Interesting. On her nightstand. So this is where she died. Wow. A lot of these are redacted. The little Barney in the pillow too, in the bed. I'm trying to picture like Dee Dee and Nick in this room. There's yeah, something's super sus. Why wouldn't Dee Dee fight back, right? You know how her hands were placed? I wonder if she did hold her down or somebody. Because the placement of the hands and like Dee Dee not remember Dee Dee was she was obese. So I mean she could have put up maybe a fight or no with Nick. Hey Benji. She would have seen so many specialists and one of them would have picked up on something. Yep, she blamed Dee Dee for everything wrong with her. Hey Ruth. Gypsy did see tons of specialists because she was on government insurance. They required you to see specialists. Yeah, I think that they held Dee Dee down. But they didn't suffocate her because I think they would have been able to tell that in the autopsy report. Um hmm. And like, yeah, she didn't scream. Once we go through the police reports too, I'm sure. Oh my God. What the F? Did we just see her in a body bag? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm over here like, she was afraid of her mom and her mother would squeeze her hand. What the? I'm like, what? Yeah, that's her in the body bag. Do you guys want to see it again? I don't know. Is it scary? Are you guys scared? Do you want me to go back? I don't know. It's like my eyes hurt. I think Nick did it for sure, but all those little ones were just Gypsy's weird ass. Dude. Go back. Oh, that is creepy. I'm literally going to have nightmares. Yeah. Um, I wonder if she like rolled over. It's not just blankets. I don't think so. Cause it said it said her name on there. I think that was her. I don't think that was just blankets. That looked like a human body in there. I don't know. I'm starting to think she was actually abused or she was in on the scam, then came the control issues. Ugh! Blood everywhere. Um, Jeez. And she's out there making TikToks, making millions in what body bags are normally black. So what was in there then? But it had a red tie on it, and I thought in the autopsy it said it had a red tie. Tires? Is that ah. Interesting. Is that when Nick drove away? You know, for how bad the wound, like 17 stab, I mean, maybe because a lot of it was redacted, but I would definitely have felt like we would have seen a lot more blood. The laptop had blood on it because it was right by the bed. Hmm. $70. Skype, Netflix. Why was that security box opened? Jeez, looks messy in there. So, like internet information, DirecTV. Wait, let's go back to this. This gives us device details connected to the internet. So, name Dino HP, Gyps PC, DirecTV, Android device, unknown, Sebastian, Dee Dee, which is one of the guys, right? I think that's in the next part we're covering right now. 348. Okay. Hmm. Oh, these are like Gypsy's breathing stuff or what? Hello, Augie, my love. Good to see you. Cracked the safe. Yeah. Dee Dee had probably burned her bridges with the family and friends, and the neck is almost severed. Okay. Oh, do you want to email them to me? I'm sure I could probably pull them up too from a different file, but let's get through these. Power cord. Wait, was that it? Credit, debit cards and stuff. Dee Dee's license, debit card. Yeah, wouldn't there have been more blood? I do think she was abusive though, personally. Mm, okay. Very messy. What's with all the trash bags? That's how much dust there was? What? Dude, what the heck? Definitely hoarders. Hmm. I wonder if that was already open or if Gypsy and Nick tried to get into it. Trash. Hmm. The Barney. Ooh, yeah, there's a lot of blood there. Jeez. And then okay, so more of the bed. Yeah, doesn't there seem like there would be a lot more blood for 17 stab wounds? And interesting how here's Gypsy's medicine, but it's on her nightstand. Maybe because Gypsy would go and sleep with her. I don't know. Not the Barney. Um, okay. Hmm. Interesting. Just more blood. Let me pull up. Blanket. Another blanket. Hmm. Doesn't there seem like there would be a lot more blood unless they already removed those sheets? I mean, there was like skin slippage. The dust is making my lungs hurt. There was a lot of blood, but it was mostly contained in the sheets and the blankets because she didn't get a chance to move from that spot. It all soaked into the mattress. Ugh. Mm. Like, what is that? Is that like, is that a blanket? A sheet? You guys, like, try to think about this. Like, Nick in here. Dee Dee's lying on her stomach. Could she have fought back? Maybe not if her hands were being held. Ew. Did they like roll her over? Because it seems like wasn't she on this side and then rolled over to this side and then didn't we see that in the other picture? Okay, well, I think we're gonna see the mattress. So I guess we'll see if it was like soaked maybe. I guess that's the mattress. I don't want to make sure we skip. Okay, yeah, that's the one we just saw. Hmm. Very messy. What is that? Towel with blood on it. The cleanup. Gypsy Nix cleanup. There was like blood drops everywhere. Hmm. The door. Okay. Oh, blood on the door as well. Cleaning. What the hell is that? That's what they used probably to clean, huh? Nick and Gypsy. Hmm. Okay, we're back to the cup. 2 straws. Pepsi. Okay. Was that just tissues and stuff in the trash? Doesn't look like that has any blood on it. Mm. Hey, Evie, good to see you. Let me go back to the photos because I don't want to load. I guess we need to pull up. I would like to get into some of the police reports, but we won't do that right now because I think that's scheduled for tomorrow. One second. There has to be a ton more blood on that mattress unless she had a waterproof mattress cover. But I think the police would have looked into that and no? Maybe? It seems like let me pull up those pictures. Oh, there's something to do with the knife too. We'll look at those. Give me one sec. I had to reopen I think because there's so many pictures. Just looking at even these that are redacted, I'm horrified that Gypsy Rose is just walking amongst society. Like nothing even happened. How do people support her? I need to know. Okay, we're back at it. Did they get rid of evidence? Man, I don't know. I think it was a lot worse than we think. with Gypsy's involvement. Um, ew, what is that? There's like spit or something with a child. Yeah. Oh, clean up. Oh, the good old house phones. Oh, there's blood on the wallet. That's probably Gypsy. Hmm. I wonder if that was Gypsy's or Dee Dee's. Very childlike if it's Dee Dee's. Back to Gypsy's room. I guess I'm curious, like, okay, I'm back. I can handle spit. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I closed out of Gypsy's room. Okay, well, she definitely wasn't sleeping on her bed, right? Because oh, what the hell? Because there's all this stuff on her bed. Hmm. Yeah, I don't really think this is who Gypsy was. Like all these Disney dresses and for Disneyland, I'm like, yeah, she was doing role playing videos. Yeah, it's not matching up. It's not adding up. More mess. Her little Barbie TV cat litter. Yeah, I saw that. Maybe it wasn't cat litter though, and she used it for something else like her toys. Her wheelchair in the bathroom. A razor. They had a cat, right? Yeah, but I think there was like used for ew. Or the cat poop. Pictures of the toilet. A what is that? A cup with what in it? Like soda? What the coffee? Who was drinking coffee in the shower? Do you guys do that? Do you guys drink coffee in the shower? What the hell was that? Um, that was yeah, maybe she's taking a bath or something, drinking coffee. Hmm. Random ass stuff in the bathroom. The car. Okay. Back to the sink. Blood on the paper towels. Yeah. That was Gypsy's trying to clean up. And Nick. Oh, wait, let me go back. Yeah, blood on the paper towels. On the door. Did they really think they weren't going to get caught? Blood on the light. Yeah, they went to the bathroom probably to wash their hands off or something. Oh. There was blood on that too. Another cup in the shower? So someone showered? Did Gypsy or Nick shower? Why is there blood like everywhere in the shower? Interesting. Blood everywhere. Wow. Mm. More of the house. The trash. Surprised I didn't find any blood in there. Dang. That's from them like leaving the scene. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I'm really curious. Like, probably the neighbors didn't hear Dee Dee screaming. Maybe, but again, maybe she couldn't scream if somebody was holding her down or covering her mouth, right? Let's see. Mm, let me pull up. Let's. Okay. These are just taking a minute to load onto the screen. Just more pictures of the house. Like, there's like blood all the way out here from them running. How would there be blood out there? Unless, they were trying to get rid of evidence and on themselves. Hmm. Just the house. I'll go by the house ones pretty quickly. Okay, now we're back to the bathroom. More blood in the shower. I wonder, does anybody know if Nick like showered in the house or Gypsy? Maybe they did some nasty after the murder. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe they fooled around. Um, Ew, which I don't wanna think about, but just one of my thoughts. Hi, Abelita, good to see you. Um, I don't get what's in these pictures. Oh, they're trying to just make sure there's no blood. Oh, there's blood on the floor. Oh, wow. Dang. They really just got it everywhere. Hmm. So they definitely went into the bathroom. They definitely went into the bathroom because there's a lot of pictures in the bathroom and a lot of, blood. Gypsy says she was shaving herself while Nick was killing Dee Dee. I don't believe that. I think Gypsy thought she wasn't going to get caught for it. She even says in her interrogation, I think she always meant for Nick to take the fall. Why all the baby wipes? I think for Gypsy, hey Ramon, they shower after. I was thinking that too. I think they both had blood on them. I wonder if Gypsy would have made it look like she was hiding in the closet when a random person attacked her, then call 911. Didn't Gypsy said they did stuff after? Yeah. Ew. Okay. On the wall? What the? Jeez. And how does Gypsy, like, just walk around living her life on TikTok without any notion like, does she think about this? Does she relive this in her head? You know what I mean? I can't imagine, dude. Mm-mm. More blood there. Wow. Cleaning stuff, but they didn't clean. So that was used by them. Oh, there was blood on the wipes, I guess? Ah, for trying to clean up. Or maybe just gushed everywhere. Oh, those aren't even wipes. A box of gypsy keepsakes? That's creepy. Mm. Hey, Rainy, good to see you. It's more blood on the Lysol. Yeah, which proves they tried to clean it up. What the hell is going on here? I wonder if that was already open or if Gypsy knew the combination. Yeah, blood all over the closet door. Hmm. It's open. Those cups in the shower must have been alcohol as a celebration, what they did, and try to wash off the blood. I think Gypsy, like Lori Daybell, they had cute, pretty, normal personality, and no one would believe they would hurt their families. I don't know. I see Gypsy in a way completely different light after starting to review all of these things. As we do this deep dive, I'm just horrified that she's out here being a celebrity or whatever you want to call her. Which is crazy to me. I can't stand her, and the fact that she's out, it's absolutely bizarre. Yeah, I can't get past that. Some people have no real conscience, but if you look a certain way like Gypsy appeared, tiny, younger, handicapped, they get away with it because no one ever believed they could do it. Geez, that shelf looked like it was about to fall down. Yeah, they were not very clean people, definitely hoarders, a lot of clutter. It's giving me anxiety. Okay. That blood? Oh no, I thought it was. It's just dirty. Okay. There's laundry that was left unfinished. Jeez. Geez, for Dee Dee being a stay-at-home mom, she really didn't clean. I wonder who washed those. They had already been washed before. There's blood. So they try to wash their clothes. Interesting. Did you guys know that? I don't think Gypsy was ever believable. There's a reason everyone is saying they've always thought she was weird, and it's because she wasn't genuine. She's a fraud and perverse. Hmm. Interesting. Okay, let me see. Let me pull up the next batch. Um, oh yeah, we just saw these, I think. Yeah, we did. I did kind of want to see these again, though. What is there blood on the part in the middle, or is there like clothes in there? That looks like a beanie. Oh, because Gypsy would wear beanies. Yeah, I can't tell if it's on a piece of clothes. Yeah, I think it is. Too bad it doesn't show us that right now. Maybe it will. Let me pull them up. Sorry, I have to keep closing out of them and then reopening them because I think there's. Let me pull up. There's another folder with crime scene photos, so I'll pull that up in a second. In the meantime, while I download these because it's not wanting to download. Okay, let's Gypsy's room, hotel, knife, and cube. Okay, let's look at those. Hold on, let me pull them up again. Sorry, guys. And hey, everyone hopping in, Anton, Evie, Ramon. I think I've already said hi. Definitely make sure you hit the like button, please. Let's see if anyone that I missed. So sorry. I'll come back. Okay. Here's the next batch. Okay. Okay, there was blood by the bleach. Of course. Who? What is that? Disinfectant cleaner? Like, look how dusty this is. I almost feel like, wow. Are they even living in there? The wipes. Like, look at how dusty this is. Oh, man. Okay. Just random stuff. Cox Health. What is that? A receipt to wear. It says large entree, bright serving tray. There's blood on it? That was just evidence. Discharge, Gypsy Rose, Monday, June 8th, 2015. So she went to the hospital. Wait, June 8th? Didn't this happen? Didn't this happen on? Wait a second. I thought, oh, Dee Dee died on the 9th. Okay, I'm like, I thought it was the same date. Discharge instructions, care of feeding tube site. So she had just gone to the hospital prior to the murder. The day before she went to the hospital? I'm just curious. Yeah, exactly. There's surveillance evidence of Dee Dee wheeling Gypsy to the hospital to fix her feeding tube that day. And no one noticed anything was off. Interesting. Blood in the kitchen. Not, wow. Lots of clutter. They had lots of medications. Lord of the Rings. Or is that a medication or drink? I don't know. Star Wars food. Pantry. Jeez. Hmm. Interesting. Blood on there? So they went to the kitchen to get cleaning supplies, maybe? As they were leaving, maybe? Is that blood on the flower? What the hell? Yeah, Laura, did you change your name? What's going on? I couldn't comment until I became a subscriber. I don't know. It says, is your username the same one? No, you are. That was just really weird. I don't know what the heck that was about. I didn't even recognize your name at first. Okay, so there's flour, there's blood on the flour because she went back to the kitchen. That's creepy. Um, 1, 2, 6. Okay, let's get to the next batch. Blood on the flour? Doesn't that seem odd? Like, what the hell were they doing? Look, because there's all the way up in the cabinets too. Um, oh yeah, Laura, I don't know. It was weird because I checked yesterday and everyone was still good. So there we go again with the cleaning supplies. Wait, what is that? There was blood there too. Mm, very creepy house. And like I said, very damn messy. Gosh, how do you even like live like this? You can't even like sit down on the freaking couch. Wipes everywhere. There was blood there. Using the wipes to clean up. On the bag? Interesting that they're taking pictures of her dresses. Hmm. Odd. Maybe they wanted to see if there's any blood on them. These were all her little dresses. Reduced bus fare card, Gypsy Rose. The wigs. The wigs we're gonna see her dancing in right now. Ugh. I find this clothes very odd. Hmm. My Little Pony clothes. A lot of Disney stuff because I know she got to do that like Make-A-Wish too, right? Anton for banning me. Oops. You were back earlier than I thought though. Thanks, Anton. I appreciate you. And I apologize for that. Um, thank you, Anton. Maybe just show the size of the clothes because she was old and her clothes are so small. And that's mom's clothes. No way mom fit into those. Thank you, Anton. Anton 2028. Yes, please. Um, I doubt Dee Dee was wearing that pink there that black glittery skirt, you know? Um, let me pull it out. Yes, I see you. uh, let's continue. Oh, her little shoes with her like leg things. She couldn't walk. There was blood on that, probably just from when she was being stabbed. It got everywhere. Okay. Um, a glove? A glove with blood. She wore leg braces. Yeah, that's what they were. Thank you. So creepy. She wore child clothes but had a very perverted mind. Um, oh, I got an email of some photos, but I really can't see them. It's like too small of the crime scene. Let me see. I'll have to see if I can get him through Zoom. I can Zoom him in. Somebody, I think it was Beautifully Broken Toots just sent me some files of the crime scene. Let me download all. Hold the phone, guys. I really want us to look at these pictures. Let me download them all and we'll go finish looking at the other ones and then we'll come back to these. Let me see. Thank you, Beautifully Broken Toots. A bloody glove. Yeah. I must have missed that. Maybe because I started with the photos first and not the police reports, but we're going to go through everything. Every single thing. I'm determined now because this is crazy. I've covered this case before on my channel, but not in depth like this, where we're going to go through photos and police reports and all the other stuff. The EpiPen? Whose name is that? Gypsy Rose. What was the EpiPen for? I don't remember her having, I guess when we go through the medical reports, she obviously was using it. You know, prescribed from a doctor. Oh, these are all the stains on Gypsy's bed. What the? Is that semen? Thanks, Anton, again for your super chat. I appreciate you. I don't know what that is. They used a black light though. What is that? I can't help but think that's what it is. That's a lot though. Urine. Oh, okay. Is that urine though? What the heck? Creepy. All her role-playing wigs. Oh, is there blood on them? Maybe she was role-playing after they murdered her. Remember, she claimed her mom tied her to the chair or the bed? Yeah, but if it was urine, you would think it would be more dispersed on all the bed. But maybe not. I mean, what do I know? All those. Okay, yeah, I just downloaded. Let me see. Do you guys want to see the photos that are not redacted? I think there's only like, I don't know if I can see them. Let me open them. Oh, yeah, I can't show these. Because you can see Dee Dee's private part in one of them. Yeah. No. No, no, no. Whoa. Have you guys seen these? Maybe we'll do this. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I got it. I got it Beautifully Broken Toots, but I don't think I got it. It's just like, oh yeah. Yeah, I got them. They didn't send individually, they just sent like in a collage. No, there's one where it literally shows her from her waist down. Maybe we'll go live on the Patreon later. I can show you this one. Ooh. Actually, I don't know. Maybe that's why people put them on Patreon, huh? Because YouTube. Pretty bad. Maybe just take a moment to cover the privates, said Evie. I had not seen these. I had not seen these. What the hell is going on? There is no way Nick did this by himself after seeing these. She was naked from the waist down below when she was murdered. Wait, so she was naked from the waist down below when they murdered her. Patty says nothing. Tasha says no. I don't know if I want to see them, Ellie. You're scaring me. They totally, I think my theory, the pics I sent, she naked. Yeah, I know. But she's naked, so when she got stabbed, she was naked? Why was she naked sleeping in bed? I'm like debating if I want to show these on here because I don't think I can for YouTube guidelines. Yeah, dude. Nah, we're gonna have to do this on Patreon or we'll figure it out. I'll figure something out. Maybe I'll redact the most littlest parts of it that I can so you guys can get a good idea, but yeah, I can't show that here. And that I'm shook. I'm shook that Gypsy's out. They need to put her ass back in prison right now. So these are just back to the house. There's blood literally everywhere. Mm. Gruesome AF. Yeah. They went in on her. Like, they went in on her. It's really, really crazy. Oh, yeah, beautifully broken, I did. What the Okay. I'm gonna stop looking at these, and we can maybe let me see what I can do. Maybe I can, I mean, I think even are people showing these? Are the creators? I haven't been keeping up with anyone other than ITW. Is this one of the knives they used? I just don't even think if I redact it, like they redacted those pictures in this file because I can see why. Um, I don't even think if I put a donut over this, they're just kind of brutal. They're kind of brutal. So are these like all the knives that they used? What? Let me go back. Oh my god, this is horrifying. Like what they did to her, they used these knives? Did they use the whole set of knives? She had 17 stab wounds. It makes Gypsy looks more dangerous because she plays innocent and dumb. At least someone like Mackenzie, she is what you see. She can't hide her crazy. I'm shook they let her out. I am scared for the people around her and her child. And this is just like the first part of it too. This is deep dive number 1. Okay, now we're back to the shed. I wonder if she ever locked Gypsy in here. Just as like abuse, you know? What state is Gypsy in? Well, like right now? I don't know. Is she like I hope she's not in LA. Missouri is where they lived, but I don't know where she's at now. She shouldn't be out. I'm shook. Okay, let me go to the next batch of photos. Louisiana. Oh, is that where she lives now? Gypsy was old enough and big enough to fight back. I agree. Why isn't there blood on the bed? Where's all the blood gone? I think they're on sheets, and they cleaned it up. Oh, that's where she lives now, New Orleans. Yeah, but this was in Missouri. Did I pull up the photos? Oh, yeah, I did. Okay. Right? This is just what's out in the shed. Is that blood? Oh, I thought it looked like it, but they didn't put a little evidence. Mm. Yeah, I'm not surprised they're finding blood everywhere in the room because that's where she got killed. Okay. Is this her calculating all the money? Interesting. Gypsy said she was shaving while this was happening. Nah, maybe after. Is that for diapers? Wow. Wow. I don't think they stuck around for so long afterwards. Dee Dee was only guilty of spilling Gypsy to her own detriment and possibly killing her. But okay, I'll have to look into that. I generally don't like to bring up other creators, but I'll look into it. Um, I'll definitely check it out before we go into part 2 for tomorrow. What is that? What? I think there was just blood everywhere. Autocorrect. The house was a mess. I know. Let me see how many more of these there are because I do want to get to. We might split the photos between today and tomorrow because I do want to get to the men and some of the videos before this live ends. Okay, let's get through a few more of these and then I'll stop and we can split it between today and tomorrow. And then I'll figure out something with the other ones if I want to show them, if I'm going to redact it myself. If it's a Patreon thing, maybe Patreon's still being worked on, so I'll have to finish setting it up if I decide to go live on there or put him on there. There's, it looks like wipes. Blood on the light. On the hand sanitizer. I wonder if those were blood drops. And I think Gypsy, did she shower? I'm still stuck on that. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty, compared to the pictures I saw, that looks about right. All that blood. Wow, wow, wow. Gypsy wears diapers or did and sucked on a bottle into her 20s. I don't think Dee was maliciously messed up, whereas Gypsy is maliciously. I kind of agree with that. I mean, I know what Dee Dee did is horrifying. I think they were both just F, dude. Dee Dee and Gypsy in the head, sick in the head. Blood on the floor. Box cutter. Wait, is that a piece of the carpet missing? Who cut that? Isn't that interesting? Hmm. Very like kiddie-ish, this house is. A box cutter? I know. I know. Let me see. We'll get to let's do like 20 more picks and then we'll move on to the other part I wanted to go over with you guys today. And then I'll continue the pictures tomorrow. And like I said, I'll let me see what I can do about the crime scene photos. How much I can show and how much I can't. Toilet, blood everywhere in the bathroom. Definitely clean up. Blood there. I mean, this blood could have just gotten in some places, because when they were leaving. What the hell is that? Oh, is that the box cutter cover or something? I don't know what that is. Medicine cabinet. Oh, shit. That is a lot. Dee Dee's mind was very childish. Yeah, it's a mental health problem, I think. Miralax, Omega, Tylenol. These must be for the feeding, something with the feeding tubes. I don't know. Aura base. A lot of inhalers. A lot. Wow. Gypsy was taking all of this. Is there any antipsychotic meds in here? Because that's my only concern as of this point. Yeah, I can't help but feel bad, like, to be on this medication and maybe not even needing it. That does make me feel bad for Gypsy, but it worries me. It worries me that she's not mentally well and she'll do something of the sort. She is raising a baby and she doesn't know anything but this. You know what I mean? She doesn't know any environment but this. Growing up like this. It's scary to think about. Wow. What is that? Oh, like a blanket. Okay. All the stains on the bed. All the meds are nothing serious. Yeah, but still, I wouldn't be happy if I found out my mother was doing that when I didn't need them. My grandmother lives on a feeding tube, and I do not see any kind of supplies needed for one. Yep, that's why I wonder if she'll become like her mother with Munchausen. I know. I think so too. I wonder about that. Half the stuff she didn't need. But still, why would you, even if she didn't need and it's just like Miralax, like how would you like to be forced to take medication that you didn't have to take? I mean, would you be really happy about that? Even later in life if you realized it? No. It's messed up. It's just not right, morally and ethically. I don't know what that blue stuff is. Oh, it's just probably just blood. Jeez. There's blood every damn place in the house. Interesting. Oh, I see what they're doing. Wow. Hmm. Let me see. Okay, let's Let's stop there with the photos. We'll continue with the photos tomorrow. Let's go into, let me write down where I left off. Let's go into the men of Gypsy Rose and we'll come back to why pics of the roof. I think they were just maybe trying to angle the crime scene stuff. Maybe. Let's go through the men of Gypsy Rose. I want to go through the men she was involved in because we're going to start covering Nick's interrogations and emails and all of that. So I want to make sure we get all that information. So this section is include all of the men she's been involved with, and then there's a section on Nick that I want to go through, and I will link this website down below. Correction. The doctors noted that they believed Gypsy had Munchausen's. They show how Gypsy is malingering and suspected, not that Dee Dee has. Oh, okay. I watched something about Gypsy says she was not taking the medication. Her mother was giving it to her. I don't know if that was true. I mean, maybe it is possible. Maybe she was spitting it out or flushing it in the toilet. Yeah, I think Dee Dee's definitely a con. I mean, RIP, but still. Yeah, it was very premeditated and brutal, and she did what, like 8 years? Yeah, I believe she did. Okay, let's pull up the men of Gypsy Rose. So this is it. Ken and Ryan obviously are the men who are under Ken in blue are not in order. They were all talking to Gypsy throughout her prison sentence, overlapping other relationships as well. So there's like a little key. Shout out to whoever made this. The blue is online never met. The purple is infatuation, obsession, only talks and mentions. And the red is online, then real life relationship, dated, engaged, or married. So there's Ken and Ryan, who are as of the most recent, right? One of these is the baby daddy. I'm not even sure who it is. Are they both the baby daddy? She wasn't, and Dee Dee was in very bad health. Gypshit was taking care of her. Okay, and here's Gypsy. Richard Keene, Daniel Thomas, Nicholas. So these are the ones. So Richard and Daniel online never met. And then we know who Nick is. That's who committed the crime with her. And then down here we have Sebastian, which I know he's brought up in another article I'm reading. And then there's Ken again. And then there's someone named Brian, a UK man, an Italian man, a Chicago man, New York City man, Brazilian man, Norway man, and a guy named Jeff. These were all the people she was talking to online. Who even wanted to? What? I'm shook. I'm shook. I'm shook that all these men were involved with her. What if Gypsy made up all the symptoms to her mother? If that's the case, Dee Dee must have been constantly worried. That's also a possibility, Augie. I mean, do we actually believe anything Gypsy's going to say now? No. So it says Gypsy Rose. So there's Richard. Daniel is when she infatuation, obsession. There's Nick. Sebastian was an online never met. And then Ryan, someone she dated, Ken Urker. And then there's Brian Golden, who is under the infatuation, obsession, only talks and mentions. And then there's all of these men right here. The UK Norway man was named Jeff. The men who are under Ken in blue are not in order. They were all talking to Gypsy through her prison sentence, overlapping other relationships as well. How's she get more men than most of us? She's a psychopath. Is that what men really want? Now that's a conversation starter we can do maybe on the second channel. I mean, I'm just curious, like, what? Who would even want to talk to her while knowing she did this? We know of 3 men before the crime and the rest she was in prison, yeah. Yeah, you guys, don't be confused. We're gonna go through a lot of information when she was born, through her childhood, and then there's a section of throughout the murder, after the murder, and I believe now. So we'll definitely get all the information we need to get. Gypsy often claims that she doesn't have much experience in relationships due to her upbringing because her mother was overprotective. However, we find that to be untrue. She claims her relationship with Nick was her first, but we have good reason that he was not her first. Our research shows that Gypsy may have been involved with multiple men. Come again? Let's review this Munchausen. Well, let's move on to Nick, and then we'll go through that. So, this we're gonna learn about Nick. And this will be interesting because we get to learn a lot about him, and then we'll go into the videos as of recent that I wanted to go. This is a website. I'll link it down below. I believe it has to do with Into the Weeds too. I know they got a lot of information, so I know a lot of it came from them. I'll link them down below. I have to update the description because this was actually a really old video, so my description, it has like older information because I scheduled this like months ago and I just never did it. And Into the Weeds podcast they got a FOIA, so they got all this information through FOIA. I got him beautifully broken. I need to go through them and look at them. Reese says Gypsy has a chromosomal disorder. It comes with a lot of medical issues. So she was sick, most of which people with her disorder can and will outgrow. Yeah, she is naked. Dee Dee is naked in the crime scene photos. So, with Dee Dee being naked in the crime scene photos, I'm wondering, was she naked like already? Or did they make her naked? Did they take off her clothes? And if so, why? Sick Fs. I don't think they're necessarily against her. They're just putting out the information in a FOIA from the FOIAs. Let's read this part about Nick. It says Nicholas Paul Curry, later known as Nicholas Paul Godejohn, was born on May 20th, 1989 in 𝐼𝐸𝐴, Wisconsin, to Stephanie and Robert. Both parents were 20 years old at the time. Nick's birth was medically complicated. After a 13-hour labor, doctors used suction assistance and the umbilical cord was found wrapped twice around his neck. He required immediate resuscitation. Medical staff warned that the oxygen deprivation could cause developmental delays, a prediction that would prove accurate. In a report prepared for trial, Bobby Godejohn alleged that Stephanie may have used alcohol and drugs during her pregnancy. Whether this was true or a reflection of strained relations after their separation remains unclear. The couple's relationship ended when Nick was about 4, after which he lived primarily with his mother. In the television program Killer Couples, Nick recalled, quote unquote, "From that time forward, I was different from everyone else." And these are some pictures of him. As a single mother in her early 20s, Stephanie worked multiple jobs, including waitressing, to provide for her household. The demands of her work left her with limited time to meet Nick's emotional needs, and he spent much of his early childhood alone. Allegations of neglect were later raised by Bob, including a claim that Nick became ill after eating foods Stephanie brought home from work and that she did not seek medical attention. In a pre-trial questionnaire, Bob also noted that Stephanie went through boyfriends back and forth, describing a home life with frequent changes in household dynamics. Is that what she has? Microcephaly comes with a lot of medical issues. You clearly can see Gypsy isn't medically healthy. No, I don't even think she looks too healthy now. These are Nick's parents, and his mother is deceased. Images relating to Nick's birth and early years released through FOIA in 2025 shed further light on the challenges surrounded in his upbringing. It is difficult to describe his childhood as anything other than deeply troubled. At Nick's appeal, his mother, Stephanie, testified that his father, Bobby, was violent towards her during pregnancy and continued to be abusive after Nick's birth and until Nick was around 2 or 3 years old. At that point, she ended the relationship. Stephanie further alleged that the abuse did not stop after the separation. She accused Bobby of stalking her and on occasion threatening her with a knife. Her account of Bobby's behavior was supported by her brother, who described Stephanie as hardworking and Bobby as a man who never actually held a job. According to Stephanie, many of her relationships following Bobby also involved partners who drank heavily and were physically violent towards her. The repeated experiences of abuse not only shaped her own life, but inevitably influenced the environment in which Nick was raised. And we will read this appeal later, but Stephanie's testimonies during Nick's appeal. So let's see. It says Christine Morris, Milwaukee. Miss Morris will testify that she is the older sister of Stephanie. She will testify that Amber is her daughter. Miss Morris will testify about taking Stephanie and Robert to the hospital for Nicholas's birth. She will testify she was in the room at the time of the birth and that the umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck. Okay. The doctor had to use suction cups to pull Nick out with the cord around his neck. Miss Morris will also testify that every time the doctor told Stephanie to push, the cord got tighter around Nick's neck. She will testify that she witnessed much of the violence between Stephanie and Robert. She will testify that Stephanie had many men who were abusive to her while Nicholas was living with her. She will further testify about Nicholas, his autism, and his behavior. Miss Morris will testify that she was never contacted by anyone on Nicholas's trial team before trial and that she lived in the Milwaukee area at the time of the offense and at the time of the trial. She will testify that if she had been contacted, she would have given the same information as contained in this motion. Miss Walters will testify that she is a paternal aunt of Nicholas, being the older sister of Robert Godejohn. Miss Walters will testify that as a child, Nicholas was quote unquote different. She babysat him a lot of the time when he was a baby so that Stephanie and Robert could go out. She will testify that Nicholas cried most of the time she had him. Miss Morris will testify that Stephanie had Nicholas most of the time when she was young and that Nicholas would come over to her parents' house on holidays. She will testify that Robert had Nicholas most of the time when he was in high school and that Nicholas would stay with him on the weekends. Okay, so we can tell there's a lot of dysfunction here with, not that that makes it okay or any different. To what I'm saying is we understand Nick had a difficult upbringing as well. According to his father, Nick displayed what he described as classic symptoms of autism during childhood. This included head-banging behavior, such as hitting his head against the walls, as well as rocking back and forth. He reportedly had difficulty forming friendships with peers, preferred solitary activities, and collected items such as rocks and action figures. During a pretrial psychological assessment, Nick disclosed that he experienced a psychotic episode at the age of 13 involving hallucinations and hearing 7 or 8 distinct voices. In the television program Killer Couples, he described further episodes, thought it was unclear whether he recognized them as psychotic in nature. He recalled a moment in his early life when he sensed, quote unquote, something clicking with himself, leading him to the realization, quote unquote, I knew there was something different about myself that I didn't understand. Nick reported that at age 14, he first encountered what he referred to as it or the thing, something he described as jeopardizing my inner happiness and my peace. In another recollection, he described looking into the mirror in his grandmother's darkened room and noticing an unrecognizable shape in his eye, which was quickly overtaken by a shadow. He claimed this shape seemed to introduce itself as to say, I'm good, I'm here, you created me. He characterized this presence as a quote unquote dark dark shadow part of me that really is triggered by anger, a side of himself completely different to the sweet, innocent me that I wake up to every day. Nick expressed his desire to understand who that is and what that is, but admitted he was afraid to explore it. During his high school years, Nick had lived with his father before returning to his mother's care in 2008 when she married Charles, shortly after Nick's half brother was born. Okay, so let's. Miss Goldaumer will testify that Nicholas was a good kid but had difficulties with school and interpersonal relationship because of his Asperger's syndrome. She will testify that Nicholas was not good at taking care of his personal hygiene and was not able to really cook for himself. Miss Goldaumer will testify that Nicholas' cousin spent a lot of time with Nicholas growing up. She will testify that even though she was the same age, Amber, his cousin, was like Nicholas's babysitter when she and her sister Chris would go out or when she was working late. Um, Amber Morris is 1.5 months younger than Nicholas. Miss Morris will testify that she and Nicholas used to go to the same school. She'll testify that she saw Nicholas interacts with other students and that Nicholas knew he was different from other kids. She'll testify that they used to walk to and from school together, and she would go off her regular classes while he went to his special education classes. Miss Morris will testify that Nicholas was made fun of in school and that this was something she personally witnessed. She will testify that Nicholas seemed mentally better when he was younger, but that it got worse as she was older. Mr. Curry will testify that he does not have any children of his own and liked to take Nicholas out to sporting events and to visit him at his mother's home. He will testify that he did not believe Robert Godejohn ever actually held a job and that Stephanie's was hard to support, couldn't support Nicholas. Oh, okay, so that's Nick's uncle, Mr. Curry. Mr. Curry will testify that he noticed that Nicholas was slow in school and classes and he was different. After leaving high school, Nick recalled, quote unquote, I tried to get into computer programming, but they weren't happy with how long I was taking to grasp it all. Ever since, I wasn't able to really pursue any paths of any type of careers. Initially, he received Social Security benefits before obtaining employment at Little Caesars, where his primary role was to stand outside the store holding a sign to attract customers. He briefly attempted to work in the kitchen, but by his own account, this did not go well. One incident involved him dropping a pizza. Nick remained at Little Caesars for approximately 13 months, leaving after a dispute with the manager. According to his stepfather, Charles, the conflict arose when the manager confronted Nick about taking regular breaks during his during his 4-hour shifts. Excuse me. This would ultimately be Nick's only paid employment. Poor Nick. I know his mother loved him. He's still in love with Gypsy. I don't think he understands what happened. I know. He should be in mental hospital. I think so too. And not prison. Let's see. Before meeting Gypsy Rose Blanchard, Nick reported having one confirmed girlfriend. He described the relationship as being with his only friend's younger sister, who, like him, was on the autism spectrum. They dated for a couple months, and Nick claims they were sexually active during this time. At Nick's 2024 hearing for a new trial, his maternal uncle, Paul Curry, testified that Nick was different from other children. He stated that he often saw Nick talking to himself and believed his thought processes were undeveloped compared to his peers. He claimed Nick didn't know how to relate to people and lacked communication skills, citing one incident in which Nick was bullied but failed to recognize it as bullying. Paul further alleged that Nick hadn't been taught basic hygiene practices and that after returning to live with his mother, he spent much of his time online, sometimes arguing with his stepfather and viewing content that was explicit in nature. Interesting. Nick's first cousin, Amber, older than Nick by 2 months, also testified. She said she spent significant time with him between the ages of 8 and 13. According to Amber, she and Nick were often left home alone with their mother, Stephanie's sister, and Nick's mother went out. She claims Stephanie ignored him, shunned him, and often left him home alone, describing him as dirty and neglected, and stating that his mother preferred to stay in the room. Preferred him to stay in the room. So I guess she wasn't a very good mom to Nick in his eyes. Amber also suggested that Nick grew older, he did not receive proper nutrition and was awkward around other children. By the time Nick encountered Gypsy, he was living in Big Bend, Wisconsin with his mother's stepfather and younger brother, circumstances that would soon set the stage for the events that followed. On June 16th, 2025, Nick's mother, Stephanie, was interviewed by Detective Angela Mahoy at the Waukesha Sheriff's Office, speaking specifically about Nick. She described him as having the mental maturity of a 15 or 16-year-old due to his autism. She stated that he had previously taken medication for his condition, but had decided on his own to stop taking it, a decision she supported. Stephanie said Nick did not have anger issues, although he could become frustrated and sometimes cry as a result. She described him as a good-natured and honest, explaining that he could become huffy and puffy like a kid if scolded, but that he had never been violent. That same day, Nick's stepfather, Charles, was interviewed by Detective Hancock at the Waukesha County Sheriff's Office. He characterized Nick as a clean-cut kid who did not use rugs or alcohol, but said that mentally he would never advance beyond the age of 12. He added that Nick can't handle authority, using the example of his messy room to illustrate his point, and described him as just lazy. Charles said Nick was quiet, kept to himself, and resisted encouragement to socialize, reportedly explaining that everybody backstabs you. According to Charles, Nick spent a great deal of time playing video games. Stephanie, his mom, died on June 14, 2021, at the age of 52. Her husband, Charles, is a registered sex offender, allegedly convicted in 1998, a fourth-degree essay involving a 16-year-old girl. Ooh. Now, do we know for a fact that this stepfather of his didn't touch him or abuse him or essay him? And I wonder what kind of issues the mother had as well, mental health issues, you know what I mean? Like, Nick underwent 2 clinical psychology assessments for his 2018 trial. One conducted by Dr. Kent Franks, retained by the defense, and the other by Robert Denny, retained by the prosecution. Their reports are not explored here in full detail, but it is worth noting that the 2 reached different conclusions, perhaps unsurprisingly given that each one was working for opposing sides. We will read those reports too when we get to the reports section. This is just an effed up situation, you guys. And I can't help but believe that there's a lot of things here that will never add up and we'll never actually know the real truth because Gypsy is a damn psychopath and a liar. Nick is unwell in a prison when he should be in a mental facility. The mom is gone. And how are you going to believe an SA offender? I mean, you know what I mean? Let's continue. Dr. Franks concluded that Nick met the criteria for level 2 autism spectrum disorder, a diagnosis supported by both his school records and Social Security documentation. In Dr. Franks' opinion, Nick would require substantial support to function adequately, including supervision and structured assistance in daily living activities such as grooming, cooking, and laundry. Even with that level of help, Dr. Franks believed Nick would still have intellectual impairment significant enough to pose a risk to himself or others. He recorded Nick's IQ as 82, placing him in approximately the 12th percentile, meaning that around 82% of the population would score higher. By contrast, Dr. Denny disputed Dr. Franks' administration and interpretation of the IQ assessment. He diagnosed Nick with level 1 autism spectrum disorder, which indicates that the person requires minimal support, and asserted that Nick did not have an intellectual disability. The difference in diagnosis is not academic. Level 1 ASD implies someone is capable of navigating most daily tasks with limited assistance, while level 2 ASD reflects a need for substantial ongoing support. Based on the available evidence, including Nick's presentation in the police and media interviews, it is our assessment that Dr. Frank's conclusion of level 2 ASD is more accurate reflection of his functioning. Warning: this content on this page contains some graphic descriptions of sexual in nature which adults might find distressing. The material is not suitable for children, and reader discretion is strongly advised. Here we go. Okay. Oh, geez. I'm like horrified. I can't believe I've never delved into this like from the beginning. Nix claims that following meeting Gypsy and Dee Dee at the cinema, Gypsy told him she had sent Dee Dee a bouquet of flowers. Hey, Cree, good to see you, babe. Hope work was good. Gypsy told him she had sent Dee Dee a bouquet of flowers as if gifted from him in further attempt to gain Dee Dee's approval of their relationship. Nick claims that Gypsy showed him an image of the receipt for the purchase. Gypsy has conveniently never addressed Nick's claim. Instead, she has put forward multiple different victim accounts as to what happened following the cinema trip, including Dee Dee, quote unquote, slapping her in the face, locking her overnight in the pink play shed. Remember, that's what I said when we went through that picture? I was like, I wonder if Gypsy was ever locked inside that shed. Let me start over on that part again. Gypsy has conveniently never addressed Nick's claim and said she put forward multiple different victim accounts as to what happened following the cinema trip. Dee Dee slapped her in the face, locked her in the overnight pink play shed, which was always blue and never pink, and making her sleep on the dirt floor, a floor that was always carpeted and never a dirt floor. So Gypsy's lying, or maybe she's not, and it happened multiple times. Nick's internet search history clearly shows that Nick searched for Springfield, Missouri flower service. Whilst this doesn't prove that Gypsy purchased a bouquet of flowers on Nick's behalf, possibly at his request, it does link to Nick's claim. Lies always out. Let's see. I don't know what this image is, but we'll continue reading. Nick's search history also reveals that he may have looked at ways of doing what he really ought to have done, move to Missouri and make a life for himself and Gypsy. What changed Nick's most obvious option to one of searching for a murder kit? In our opinion, Gypsy. Nick has stated many times that he asked Gypsy to run away with him, and Gypsy said no. We wonder if Dee Dee would still be alive had Dan come to Gypsy's rescue. We're thinking probably. Nick's search history also shows searches for several corn, you know what I'm saying? Corn websites, as well as searches for extreme restraints, handcuffs, bondage, PVC tape, mouth ball gag harness restraints, bullets, a jungle knife, which could link to the painless death Gypsy claimed she wanted Dee Dee to experience, and or to their interest in BDSM. So Gypsy and Nick were into BDSM. Gypsy said she lied to her mom about not being able to walk so her mom would love her. Dude, no. This is like, what? This is crazy. In reading the transcript of Nick's videos to Gypsy that follow, which at times are extremely sexual, violent, and disturbing, it is worth remembering Dan Guildwell's sworn testimony at Nick's appeal hearing, in which Dan claimed he and Gypsy would send explicit videos to each other and engage in role-playing, something Dan claims Gypsy introduced him to. Did Nick really introduce Gypsy to BDSM, or was he just following suit? I don't know what this side image is. It says, Brianna, way to crap taking this to the mailbox. Have her message me, lost her link. Gypsy Rose. Okay, so it must have been something that she was searching. Yeah. They was freaky tiki. I don't get that stuff, Alicia. Oh, man. The video transcripts reveal that Nick wanted 3 things from Gypsy: sex, affection, and her staying true to him. Nick eventually gained one of those 3 things, sex, and even with that one thing, Gypsy would ultimately turn it against him to save herself and label him a rapist, a claim she refuted at Nick's trial. The transcript also shows that Nick and Gypsy were aware of the convicted murder of Charles Manson, who in 1969 instructed members of his cult to commit a series of 9 murders he arguably orchestrated. While Manson didn't actually kill anybody himself, he was subsequently charged with 7 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder. Charles Manson received the death penalty, which was commuted to a life sentence with parole when the death penalty was abolished in the state which he was charged. Did Nick perhaps get angry and upset with the comparison he recognized applied more to Gypsy than it did to himself? Gypsy was also referenced Jeffrey Dahmer, another notorious killer in 2015, police interview revealing she had interest in true crime cases. Why is Dahmer always like in every, murders search history or in their notes or some kind of sick manifesto thing? Hey, Timo DeVille. Good to see you, love. Thanks for being here. Yeah, I already feel like I need a drink. Let's see. Let's continue. Coincidentally, one of Manson's family members went by the nickname Gypsy. Although she was not directly involved in the murders, she did ultimately serve 90 days in prison for intimidating a witness during Manson's trial. Nick has always been open and honest about his dark side, stating that in 2019 that he first saw what he referred to as the thing, jeopardizing my inner happiness and my peace, when he was 14 years old. So he knows he wasn't okay in the head. Nick said he was always then aware of the dark shadow part of me that really is triggered by anger, a darker side of himself, completely different to the sweet, innocent me that I wake up to every day. Nick spoke out about wanting to understand, quote unquote, who that is and what that is, but he was terrified to explore it. Oh boy, did Gypsy Rose Blanchard help him with that? We are not excusing Nick's behavior, but we do wonder how his life would have turned out had he not met a woman who recognized his dark side and exploited it for her own ends, which is so true. So true. And they're both like not mentally well, but hey, they were mentally well enough to understand what BDSM was and to get freaky. You know what I mean? Regardless of whether or not Gypsy learned these manipulation behaviors, she was 24 years old. The Night Stalker was 25. You don't get a pass once you're grown. Maybe Dee Dee had trapped her in the shed. We know she was trying to meet up with all the guys online, like a little ho, ho, ho. I would do the same. Augie. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. No, it's interesting to know, and aside from us joking, this is disgusting. I'm horrified with this case. It's interesting to note in the transcript of Nick's video, as seen above, the constant juxtaposition of the 2 sides of himself Nick described in 2019. The 2 sides of himself he revealed almost 6 years before these video transcripts were made public. Nick could easily have kept quiet about his dark side post-murder and just played the role of sweet, innocent Nick Godejohn, a role played almost to perfection by Gypsy Rose. But he didn't. Nick was truthful, unlike his co-conspirator. We are going to read these transcripts. Gypsy has always claimed that Nick told her that if they had a daughter together, he would grape their daughter on her 13th birthday. She even reaffirmed this recently in March of 2025 during a TikTok live. Final image below is of Gypsy. If they had a girl, then their daughter had to lose her virginity to Nick because he would be the master of the household. She said when she turned 13, she would explain this to their daughter and why she would give her virginity to Nick. Let that sink in. Excuse me? I don't follow Gypsy Rose and her crazy ass on TikTok, so I would have not seen this. Gypsy Rose has a daughter, right? Right now? Is it a boy or girl? I don't even remember. CPS needs to get involved. Like, someone who has these kinds of thoughts don't get better, guys. I hate to say it. They really don't. You can control someone's mental health issues with medications, but if you're sick, deprived human, I don't think you can change that. And Gypsy is that. And she's out here making millions of dollars. It's sick as hell, Ruth. Sick as hell. What the F? I know. Dude, what? So someone said, girl, for real, you offered your child to Nicholas. Remember, get off social media. It's vile that society has allowed any of this. And then Gypsy says she responded to someone hating on her online. That is not true. Nick wanted that. I dumped him after he said that. And said, absolutely not. This is fact, whatever she or anybody else says in it. It's in black and white in case files. And that is where people tend to F up the facts. You may not like me, but I am not that kind of person, said Gypsy. And in the video we're going to watch, Gypsy introduces herself as Demona. She talked about being in love with him and how she wanted them to live together away from other people. She talked about having children with Nick. She said they would have to teach and educate their children what not to say in public, him being a vampire, a secret. If they had a girl, then their daughter would lose her virginity to Nick because he would be the master of the household. She said when she turned 13, she would explain to their daughter and why she had to give her virginity to Nicholas. She talked about how she was Nicholas's slave and he could have her anytime he wanted. No. No. I don't know why Gypsy is free. Hey, Tiff, good to see you. What the helly? Yeah, I don't really have like much to say, guys. Like, I'm pretty horrified. Um I just can't believe she's out of prison. I just really can't believe it. Let's go. We're gonna not watch. This is a deep dive part 1, so it means we're gonna continuously go. And as we go, we'll be reading more documents, more pics, more videos. I'm not playing all the videos in this live, but we're gonna play 2 of them. And then tomorrow I will schedule, because we have a Kenzie live later tonight. And later tonight, I'll schedule the Gypsy Rose live for tomorrow, part 2. So let's watch some of these videos. Let me get my notes. Sorry. Okay. This is one of the videos, I guess, in where she talks about that. We're going to see if it is. If not, we'll get to it essentially. And thank you guys for being here. Please, please, please make sure you hit the like button and the hype and the notifications, because YouTube be playing sometimes and not sending notifications. Okay, let's go and let me pull up this video. Trigger warning 2, Gypsy comes out in her bra and underwear. And as we watch the video, I have the actual, what time are you going on later? Well, this one went a little bit longer, so it's probably going to be a little bit later. Not exactly sure, but let's see. When I have the transcript of this video as well, so we can like go back and review what she's saying. Oh, this video, I'm like scared of her. I'm like scared of Gypsy Rose on the screen. This is the infamous Demona anniversary video. Demona or Demona? Demonic, we should say.
Hi, my wonderful, amazing, absolutely sexy master. It is your...
Excuse me? 14 seconds in and I'm already like... Hi, my wonderful, amazing, absolutely sexy master. Yeah, sorry guys, you're gonna have to deal with the voice. You really are.
Master. It is your one and only Demona, your slave, forever and ever.
Oh, so it's Demona. Your slave forever and ever, she says.
Well, today is our happy 1-year anniversary. And I'm so excited. This past year has been amazing. It has been the most adventurous, wild, almost kind of like story almost, because things like this usually only happen in books. Well, as you can see, I changed my hair color, but I hope you like it. And I'm wearing my favorite color, plus your favorite color, black. And, well, they are vampire colors, so. And what makes us so unique from other couples is that you and me have a vampire and human relationship, which, I would think vampires would want to date other vampires, but I'm quite lucky that you want me. And I know that there are probably female vampires out there, but I'm very happy that you want me.
Are you guys understanding what she's saying, or do you want me to tell you after? If you want me to tell you after, I can. This is freaky. This is scary. This is scarier than a horror movie.
Being with you has made me almost feel like a new person. When I met you, I felt, that's him, that's my soulmate. To be honest, the way I view us is kind of like twins. Because you might know, since you're very wise, that twins, if one of them gets cut, let's say that one of them like cuts their finger, the other twin will feel it and be like, that's weird, I didn't cut my finger. But then they'll talk to their other twin or whatever, and their other twin might not even know it, but their finger got cut. And, you know, the other twin will feel it. And that's how I consider us almost, is that even though we're so far apart, if one of us is hurting, the other will hurt. And so if like you hurt, I'll hurt. And it's hard being away from your soulmate because it feels like you don't know what's happening to them in that moment, but then when you know that they're all right, your mind is at ease and you just feel a whole lot better. And I feel like I'm linked to you, mind, body, and soul. So, and I think that's the way it should be. You know, I think that we've been open and honest with each other about our feelings and about every day-to-day life. And I know I've made some mistakes. I'll admit it, I have a habit.
Where the hell is Dee Dee? This is insane. This is not okay. She's not okay in the head.
Of being kind of a know-it-all at times. And like recently, I me and Gypsy forgot the password for our
Because
Facebook.
remember, she's Demona, so she refers to Gypsy like in third person. She says me. She just said, and like recently, I, me, and Gypsy.
And we just changed it without even telling you or asking you if it's okay. And that was a bad move on our part. You know, it's not fully my fault and it's not fully her fault.
Is this her talking to one of her slave masters, or is it her talking to Dee Dee? You know? I'll go back a little bit. Because she says, I don't know if you guys caught on to that, but it says, and like recently, I, me, and Gypsy forgot the password for our Facebook. We just changed it without even telling you or asking you if it's okay.
Without even telling you or asking you if it's okay. And that was a bad move on our part. You know, it's not fully my fault and it's not fully her fault. It was both our fault. And so now we know.
Yeah, I think it is Nick, but I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't put anything past any of these sick people.
Before we do anything, ask you. Because you are our master. You are responsible for us. We are y'all bitches, I guess. Because, you know, you're in charge of everything and you have complete control over us. Our health. You're responsible for everything. Our health, our safety, our happiness, just everything. And I'm really grateful to you for being my master and protecting us and making sure we're healthy and safe and happy. And everything that you've done is to make us be stronger women and make us the women that we know we can be. And it's your dream, woman. And that's what we want to be. And it's inside us. You just bring that out in us.
It's just like a very interesting thing because she keeps referring to the slave master as like, you know, her slave master, but she says you're in complete control of us, our health. And you're responsible for everything. But it wasn't Nick at the time. He wasn't even living with her. It was Dee Dee who was responsible for her health. And I'm just wondering where she's connecting these, and she's sick. She's sick.
Now, the topic I want to talk about most with you is my feelings for you. And they're not only just grateful feelings for protecting us and loving us and making sure that we're healthy and happy and safe, but it's also a feeling of contentment and this love that I can only describe, and it would sound like a book. It would sound, you know, not real, because love like ours is very, very rare. And my feelings for you is that I'm your slave. So my sole purpose is to please you and to love you and to keep you content and keep you happy and be the woman that you dream of having. And if you need anything, that I'll be there for you, whether it's emotional support or if it's a sexual desire, like to fulfill that desire, I'm here for you.
So she was sick, but talking like this. Crimezilla says something very interesting. Nick graped the corpse after the mom was killed, but they didn't find his DNA on her genital area, right? And I wouldn't doubt it though, because like I just told you guys, the crime scene photos that I didn't show her, Dee Dee, completely naked from the waist down. So I do agree that happened. I'm just wondering if they were able to detect any semen or bodily fluids from Nick. But I believe it because I said earlier, and I didn't show these pictures. Like I said, I'll find a way to show them or redact them, but I don't know if I can. What if he raped both of them? She's a sick girl. You guys. I thought him and Gypsy had SCX after. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised though. Why is she making these videos? No FaceTime back then? I don't know if you can grape the willing though, says Patty. And she just said, you are my master and I am here for all your desires.
And I'm here for you also if you need someone to sort of talk to if you're angry about something, and maybe I can calm you down, whether that be talking to you or seducing you to make you happier about whatever's making you angry. So
seducing you.
And I'm not only just your slave, but I'm also your queen. Or at least I'm gonna be as soon as we get married, which I am so happy because one day, that's something that we thought of this year, is that one day we are gonna have a vampire wedding. So we're gonna go all out into the tradition of having a vampire wedding. And we're gonna do it somewhere that it's very pretty but very isolated, because I want it to be just a private, just you and me and maybe Ricky and Allie, but that would be the only guest. And that night we would have the most awesome, amazing wedding night ever, and that's whenever we break out the handcuffs and rope and chains. It would be all about you and me, just complete.
Excuse me? That's when we break out the handcuffs, ropes, and chains, she says. At the wedding? The vampire wedding.
Handcuffs and rope and chains. It would be all about you and me, just completely entwined within each other and just completely letting out how we feel about each other in one time span of doing it all. You know, so we'd be having not only sex, but we'd be making love as vampire and human, as well as master and slave.
We'd not only be having sex, but we'd be making love as vampire and human, as well as master and slave.
So it would be a very special moment for us. So that's something I'm very looking forward to. Also, my dress will be very pretty. It's going to be a nice, beautiful red with maybe some black accents to it. And maybe I can carry some red roses with, I know these don't really exist in real life, but black roses. I know they're not real flowers, but I can get them plastic. So I'll have red roses, a bouquet of red roses with black roses, black plastic roses. So that'll be very pretty. And so that's something that I cannot wait for. But I will wait till we have that perfect time in our life. Also, as your slave, I want you to know that I'm working very, very hard to become something very special called the seductress mother of the household. And right now I'm working to get my white collar. So there are color collars to gain up to that royal collar, which I can only get whenever we get married and I've completed my whole training. So, but I'm gonna get it. I am determined to get it, and I will get it. It's just a matter of when. So I had this vision, well, Gypsy had this vision about me and you.
Gypsy had this vision about me and you.
And you were sitting on kind of like a throne. You had a black shirt and black pants, and I was right by your side, like right here, by your legs, and you had me on a chain, but I had my royal collar with a chain, and you had the chain in your hand, and we were just in a room full of people. I don't know, the dream doesn't have a lot of explanations or whatever, but that's all she saw, was that I was the seductress mother and your queen and your slave right by you, serving you and being there if you need me. So I guess it will come true one day. If she had that vision, it'll come true. And you said that Nick had a similar vision, so one day it will happen.
Wait. She has a vision. They were sitting on a black throne. You had on a black shirt. You had the chain in your hand, and we were just in a room full of people. I don't know. The dream doesn't have a lot of explanations or whatever, but that's all she saw. I was a seductress mother and your queen and your slave, right by you, serving you and being there if you need me. I guess it will come true one day. If she had that vision, it'll come true. You said that Nick had a similar vision. One day it will happen.
And our future together will be a bright one. I know that we want hopefully lots of children, and after we get married, we're gonna try and start right away, I hope. And the plan for if we have a boy first, we're gonna protect him and protect our children from the outside world, because they can't know about us. They can't know about you being a vampire. But we're gonna protect them and keep them educated on what not to say in front of people, and make sure that they understand the severity of keeping this secret. And okay,
this is where she goes, that's creepy. This is the part where she talks about the girl being raped by Nick.
The severity of keeping this secret. And if we have a girl, the way it has to be is, if we have a girl, she has to lose her virginity to you, because you are the master of the household. So I'm going to have to explain that to her whenever she comes of age where it's time to explain it. Other than that, like when she's 7, I won't explain that, but around 13, I'll explain.
What the hell? If we have a girl, this is the way it has to be. If we have a girl, she has to lose her virginity to you because you are the master of the household. I'm going to have to explain that to her whenever she comes of age, when it's time to explain it. Other than that, like when she's 7, I won't explain. But around 13, I'll explain it.
And also, if you ever need someone to, I guess, feed off of, but not kill, obviously, you know that I'll always give you my blood. You know that if you're ever weak, or if you're ever so weak that, you know, you can't move, or you're just really, really sick, don't worry. I'll give you my neck anytime you need. It is always yours, just as I am always yours. So, I'm your woman, I'm your slave, and I'm proud to be. So, happy anniversary, my amazing, wonderful master. And I look forward to many, many, many more of anniversaries and birthdays, and just so many happy romantic sex proxy things to look forward to. So, happy anniversary, my darling master. I love and adore you so much, and I'm always dreaming and thinking about you.
That is really, really creepy. You guys, what the hell? Why is she explaining these to him if these are his rules? No, it's her. It's her. Now we're going to play a video of her dancing around as Demona. 4 minutes of her dancing around. I hope you're ready. Brother. What the? You guys. I'm just like, I hadn't watched that in full, and I have a lot of questions. Ruh-roh. Yeah. It's like, sorry guys, we have to. And can someone tell me where the hell Dee Dee is and where she got all this lingerie from? What the hell is this? I'm wondering, is she suing the police department yet for releasing all of these? I feel like thank God for FOIA, man. For educational purposes, this is not how you dance in the bathroom. I'm officially like shook to my core. Yeah. Shout out to Into the Weeds for getting that. Well, if you see me making a video like this later, don't ask me where I got the idea from. Okay? I'm gonna make a video like this just for the second channel. I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I'm gonna do these moves in front of my man, see what he says. Can you get that? Not you on doing the moves, but get his face. Oh boy. Yeah, don't come up to me and asking me why I'm doing it. Go ask Gypsy Rose. I don't know what the hell that was, you guys. It was in the foyer. It was in the foyer. Yeah, well, that's how the live will be ending. I'm afraid that was the last thing on I'll take your drink away, Melly. I guess that was the last thing on my little planner notes here. I hate to leave you with that vision in your beautiful little heads because I love you guys so much, so dearly. You would do it better. Facts. Thanks, Augie. I appreciate you. Good luck sleeping, everyone. Yeah, you know, we might have to do like a late night after dark on the second channel when I wake up screaming of my nightmares and have to come on here and talk to you guys because no one else is going to understand. I'm gonna go do it now. I'll be on the 𝐼𝐸𝐴𝐺𝐸 live. I'm going to have nightmares. Okay, so that was deep dive part number 1. And like I said, I have like 10 parts to go through. So there's a lot, I think. Don't send me a bill for your therapy appointment either. Don't be sending me no emails with Melly, you owe me a therapy session. I don't need no bills. Interesting. Yeah. So with that being said, please hit the like button. Please hit the like button. 3 hours live on Gypsy Rose part 1. We have 10 parts. So definitely make sure your notifications are on. Hit the like button. Hype it up after the live in the comments. Swipe to the right. And this is my first impression of you, by the way. Please, 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 funds, don't get scared. Please do not unsubscribe. I already sent you a cap-ass request for the therapy. This is good. Lots of unanswered question. I can't unsee this, says Debbie. You're getting the full bill. Says, no crime, no worries on therapy. I have an emotional support dog, says Crimezilla. Irony, happy holidays and New Year's to you as well. Everyone, please hit the like button, turn on your notifications. I am way over the 𝐼𝐸𝐺𝐸 live time, so give me a minute to prep and come on. I still am going to do it. So I will see you guys shortly. I'll be scheduling it right after this. So go to get your drink, get some popcorn, do whatever you're going to do, and meet me back here for a 𝐼𝐸𝐺𝐸 Snapchat social media live. So I appreciate you guys all for being here. I will see you on part 2 tomorrow. Okay. You guys all come back to part 2 of Gypsy tomorrow. And then I will see you guys a little bit later tonight. We have 𝐼𝐸𝐺𝐸 live, and then we'll be going live on the second channel. So I love and appreciate all of you for being here. Bleach my eyeballs, bleach my soul. Stop. A Disney strip joint. Y'all are funny. Okay, fine. Hit the like button. Sorry to burn your eyes. I'll see you on the next one.